Locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs, quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside's margaritas and old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Rick Heyman here from Sauter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sauterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln, this is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped and picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black Shirts answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Hour one of Old School is sponsored by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Oh, home sweet home. It's good to be back. It's good to be back here at 1040. Austin Orman here. Harrison Arns with you as well. Harrison, welcome to Old School, my friend. How's it going?
Nothing new. Another appearance on Old School. I'm doing fantastic. Glad you guys made it back safe. I knew it was bad when I got the text at 4:40 this morning from Jake Sorensen waking me from my slumber. Hey, early break. I might need you to hop in there real quick. So shout out to Connor. He did a great job. But yeah, the flights have not been fun. To Chicago or out of Chicago, you guys had to be patient. That was the lesson.
Yes, it was. Your turn next, though.
It is my turn next. We got Big Ten Volleyball Media Days coming up Monday. All 18 teams in one day. So me and DP will be giving just a ton of updates while we're out there. There'll be a lot of players, a lot of coaches. Again, you got all 18 all on that same day. So should be plenty of good bits in there. And then we'll have, maybe we'll get the Danny Busboom Kelly audio. I'll give you the link to that. So if at any point you guys want to listen, Danny Busboom, whether it's weeknights or any of the day shows, we'll have a lot of volleyball content coming up.
That'll be all day Monday. Stay tuned for all those updates. And Super Genius Eric, yes, you are correct. I'm not even saying anything to Jay because I know that after the grueling week he's had that he's taking the day off. Just because Jay is not on air does not mean he is taking the day off. Jay Foreman is handling some business, and so he will be back on Monday. And speaking of being back on Monday, lineup changes. We have the green light to announce this. But yes, we do have a change coming to the lineup. You obviously heard on the drive today. It was AD's last show. Really appreciate AD, everything he's meant to all of us here at the Ticket. And I know that just because he's not here, that relationship will go on. I know Bach and Terrell mentioned that they're going 2 to 4 beginning next week. And so we won't leave you in limbo. We'll give you the 6 to 6 lineup. Early break, untouched, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. This is your final Old School afternoon, though. Old School's moving 9 to 12, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday moving forward. So your morning, 2 shows, 6 to 9, it's early break, 9 to noon, it will be Old School. After that, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, it'll be 2 hours of the Adam Carricker Show, 2 to 4, Monday through Friday, you'll have Bach in the Black Shirt, as you heard. Your Wednesday, noon to 2 hour, will likely be one-on-one. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 times the In the Pit content, 3 times the Jason Peter, 3 times the Grant Wistrom, etc. So that'll be from 4 to 6 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then Tuesday and Thursday, 4 to 6, will be one-on-one with DP and the rotating cast of characters that I know he will bring in. Tuesdays, of course, in the fall, we'll certainly flip back to a lot of wrestling content. I assume Takedown Tuesdays will move back up into that, maybe some Stars hockey. It's all still up in the air to be determined officially for what that looks like once those seasons get underway. But once again, what you need to know primarily for the first half of your day, 6 to 12, it's early break for 3 hours, then Old School for 3 hours. You get 2 hours of Adam Carricker 4 days a week. You get Bach in the Black Shirt 2 to 4, 5 days a week, and then In the Pit and one-on-one filling in from there.
Sounds like a great lineup. I'll be honest. Again, with Aaron Davis, you guys can put it up. It's on X on Facebook. He gave his goodbye to the ticket because he's got great opportunities with his own business. And you can listen to it. He'll give you all the reasons for it. But we're going to definitely miss AD, but we're also very, very excited for AD for his next chapter. But at the same time, that lineup's pretty solid. I mean, when you do go through the list on some of those days, you can roll in 3 hours of old school. Of course, the classic cast of Sipple, Bill Bush, Jake Sorensen, and then rolling into old school to Austin Orman and Jay Foreman. That's a solid lineup. And then, of course, you have Carricker. You got another Husker on there. And then you go to Terrell Farley. You got another black shirt on there. And then you get Grant and Jason. That's for, again, as much as it's bittersweet, with AD, because, again, he's doing great things with his own business. That lineup, I think everyone will be happy with. I mean, that's especially as we're approaching football season, and that's just not being biased. Like, I honestly think that's one of the better lineups as far as the local radio goes, the local media. Well, that's a group of dudes that can walk into any room.
Completely agree. So, looking forward to that. That starts officially on Monday. So, look forward to that. So, early break and old school on Monday will be 6 to 9 and 9 to 12. Then it'll be Carricker 12 to 2, Bach in the black shirt 2 to 4, and In the Pit with Grant and Jason from 4 to 6. Eric says, so I get to get my Austin shaming in earlier now. Yes, you do, Eric. But you can keep it going all day, right? Just because I'm not here and I don't see the text doesn't
He's
mean
a bit disgruntled. He didn't get the throat punch on the way out the door. He's been waiting for AD to throat punch me. I don't know where that bit comes from, but it never happens.
People always ask AD to throat punch Nick as well. So I'm not sure. I mean, text line your Yahoos. We love you for it, but we don't understand how your brain works all the time. And that's okay. I think we like to keep it that way as much as we can. So appreciate everyone who's made these switches possible. It's going to be new, going to be an adjustment period. The more I try to wrap my head around it, Harrison, I've never been responsible for planning a show in the morning before. All the shows I've ever done have been afternoon or evening. This is going to be breaking brand new ground for me.
I'll say this much. It's not that hard. Like, it's basically just before you go to bed, you do the research, as opposed to you before you started the show, because obviously with sports news, you always got to wait until you're live on air because there's something that can come in for the last minute. So my advice to you, get your laptop out before you tuck in, read a book, get the rundown out. And that's pretty much, it's a very hard job we do here reading about sports.
Right.
But that's about the only adjustment you'll make.
I was talking to Jake about it throughout the course of I'd say travels. There wasn't much traveling going on yesterday.
A lot of sitting around.
But Jake was saying that, he's never done an afternoon show. So all he knows is having done a morning show. And so bear with us as we work through that. But like Harrison said, I'm with him all the way through. It's going to be an awesome lineup. We're really excited for it as we turn the corner into football season, which, okay, fine. Football season can officially be here. I can get on the train with Jay Foreman. I know there's a Major League Baseball trade deadline. Rudy and I are going to talk about that coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. But okay, fine. It's football season. And let's react to that here, Harrison, in hour one. Pretty much just the Nebraska aspect of it. And a bunch of things to get to on that. I think first and foremost, we'll get to some of what Matt Rule said. Bummed we didn't get a chance to talk to Coach. Weren't given a reason. Did reach out to some people to try to figure out, what happened.
Because of course, I'll say that much.
Well, yeah, no, the ticket left early, and so I want to make sure it wasn't like everyone else got and we missed him because of the flight situation. He didn't do local radio, and that's fine. It's his prerogative. Again, more bummed than anything to not get a chance to talk to Coach. We don't get to do that very often, one-on-one at these events. And so I was looking forward to that. That's all right. So I hope we can catch up with Coach Rule maybe some point here before the season. I hope we don't have to wait till next year's Big Ten Media Days. But yeah, again, just more bummed than anything to miss out on that opportunity. But Coach Rule did his main podium. He did his side podium. And one of the things he was talking about was Dana Holgerson. And of course, the now 2.5-year-long tenure of that offensive coordinator. Rule said, but I think Dana has got an itch to be able to call the game the way he wants to. And for him to do that, you have to be able to win up front. You have to be able to run the football and protect the quarterback. Now, okay, you have to be able to win up front, football 101. You have to be able to run the football 101. You have to be able to protect the quarterback, football 101. But right before that part of the quote, Rule said, when we couldn't win up front with our O-line, we couldn't win the game. It's just that simple. I thought Dana did a really admirable job of adjusting his play calling to what we did well and trying to find a way to win games without a lot of ego. This is something, Harrison, that I've been monitoring for 2.5 years now. but really throughout the course of last season, what is it that Dana Holgorsen wants this offense to be? And what is it that Matt Rule wants this offense to be? Obviously, Dana Holgorsen, wants to be able to win up front and wants, his offensive line to be able to protect the quarterback.
Him and every coach in the country.
That's not new. That's not necessarily novel. Matt Rule said he wants Dana Holgorsen to call plays, without a conscience, which I thought was a really interesting way to frame it. But I am still not entirely convinced that what Matt Rule envisions for Nebraska is what Dana Holgorsen has always wanted to do. Now, can Dana Holgorsen grow into that? Sure. Is there always adapting and learning on the fly to make it work? Sure. But when you say you want Dana Holgorsen to be able to call plays without a conscience, but I think he's got an itch to be able to call the game the way he wants to. I think Matt Rule was in that quote more so than the philosophy referring to the talent. Hey, we have dudes up front. Hey, we have playmakers on the outside and in the backfield that Dana Holgorsen won't feel limited. He won't feel like he has to cover for one aspect or one area of the offense. And Scott, that's a total misquote. I have it right in front of me. I read it off of the World Herald. So tell me where I got it wrong if you read it somewhere different. But I'm reading this right here from the World Herald.
The Omaha World Herald. If you think it's wrong.
Yeah, and this was Sam McEwen writing this, and I tend to trust Sam.
Yeah, he's a good writer.
He writes that. So again, I think what Matt Rule was talking about was the personnel and Dana Holgorsen not feeling shackled, like, oh, I have to cover for a lack of protection. I have to cover for a lack of running game or a lack of ability to win off the line. And Scott, okay, he said Dana likes to call plays that way. You watched it live. Do you believe that? Do you really believe that? Do you believe Dana Holgorsen likes a power run game? Do you believe Dana Holgorsen likes 75 rush yards? Okay. Do you believe that? Have you seen evidence that that's what Dana Holgorsen wants to do? To me, it has seemed like there's some tension between what the head coach has desired and what his offensive coordinator has desired to do. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I should take Matt Rule at his word. But I think that is maybe Matt Rule convincing himself of that. Matt Rule trying to continue to, instill that in his offensive coordinator, because I haven't seen that desire from Dana Holgorsen necessarily to call plays that way. And that's fine. But at some point, head coach, offensive coordinator, head play caller Dana Holgorsen, plain and simple, have to be on the same page, and whether that's with scheme or personnel or whatever that looks like, I am not convinced that that's the type of game Dana Holgorsen wants to call. I'm not taking Matt Rule at his word on that one.
I think that's fair. Where I'd land on this is, you remember when Holgorsen first got here and he talked about, I just had to bring it down to one page?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do think there is a lot of truth into, hey, this offense is too complex. We need to simplify it. And then last year, I think it was more simplified as a result of, I don't trust us to run a lot of these plays. So I think the hard part is this, as I have no idea what Holgorsen wants to do here, because I don't know if he's had the trust in his play, in his playmakers' abilities, whether the quarterback, whether it's the offensive line, pick a position group on the offense. That's where it's hard for me and all the past tells me that Holgorsen is not the type of guy that wants to just play Big Ten, run the ball football. But I also don't know if he's had the opportunity to even willingly adapt to whatever you think the Matt Rule version of offense wants to be. And that's where I have a hard part with all this is, like, and we've talked about this for a couple seasons now, when Holgorsen first took over for Satterfield, I feel like I still haven't seen Holgorsen offense, or at least what I was anticipating. Maybe I'm looking for something that doesn't even exist, but I have yet to see what the Dana Holgorsen full experience looks like. The air raid hasn't really been that big of a thing here. The run game has been meandering at times because of the offensive line weaknesses. I think there is some truth to Matt Rule saying is he wants to be able to call the game, but at the same time, I think a lot of his freedom comes from, we just have to have the right talent on the field. And I don't know if whether it's the wrong recruits or development, that Holgorsen's been in a situation where he can feel comfortable and call the game he wants to. I do think a lot of last year was calling games kind of, it's like if you're a bad test taker and you're taking the ACT, you're just going to go process of elimination. Not this one, not this one, this one. Best chance this one maybe is the right answer here.
Yeah.
We're rolling with that. Well, that was -5 yards on that, but it's the best I could possibly conceive with what I had in front of me.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Well, and Scott says, well, he's talking about liking to call plays without a conscience, not conscience, right? What you're thinking of an internal monologue. That to me is just flow state, understanding the rhythm and the feel of a game to where, your eyes just magically lock onto the right play, right? It's like it lights up right in front of you. Oh, it's this one. Oh, it's this one. This is what I'm seeing. We ran this. Here's our counter off of this that they're not ready for. Here's why this is going to work, without having to do exactly what you're talking about and think through, well, I'd like to call this, but we have to have this guy in because it's his turn to take a snap.
Right.
And I don't know if I fully trust him to execute this. And so even if that would be the quote unquote right play as I see it, well, I'm not sure we can do it. So it's on to this one. Oh, okay. Well, now here's this other offensive lineman that we don't quite trust. We don't like it run that way, even though it works better to that side. Got to cross that one off the list. And then to your point, where does Nebraska end up? So whether it's about the personnel, whether it's about the scheme of the philosophy, I think both ways. We haven't seen the best of Dana Holgorsen. And I think that the Matt Rule can be correct as well. And I think we talked about this related to Marcus Satterfield when he was the offensive coordinator. How stocked is the cupboard? What are they working with? At what point is it they're covering for talent? At which point is it, do they have the right feel for the game to call the plays, right? Because either Nebraska's talent on offense is good enough to be scoring more points per game than it is, or it's a miracle that Nebraska's scoring as many points per game as it is.
Right.
And the play callers are, getting, more juice out of the squeeze than we even know.
I think it's somewhere right in the middle. Like, I know that's such a like an easy answer. It's probably in the middle between both of those, but I think that's really what it is I think Matt Rule definitely, I think there is some pride there, and pride's a good thing. I don't want my head coach to have his head hanging down, not trusting himself.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. It's got to come together, but it's good to have a little bit of that within you. I do think Matt Rule has an identity of what he wants this offensive brand of Nebraska football to be. And at the same time, though, as much as I want to say that Matt Rule wants that run game, I don't know how we missed Emmett Johnson for so long. That's also the part where if you're Matt Rule and you want to build this big, tough Big Ten football team, how's it Dana Holgorsen to walk in the room and it's like, yeah, Emmett Johnson needs more touches. What are we doing? Because that really wasn't until Emmett Johnson I think it was that USC game where he kind of got.
That's the first one.
Yeah, back in the mix. He had some games with like UNI that previous year where you saw flashes, then it kind of became mostly Dante Dowdell. But that's where it gets a little bit strange for me. And where I think it's just a lack of Holgorsen doesn't have the right seasoning, whatever you want to say, in the pantry there. Because as soon as he got here, he identified Emmett Johnson's a dude. Why aren't we getting him touches? He talked about the wide receivers. These guys are big. Why aren't they blocking? So he's spoken, like not just air raid, not just all this, we're just skill flying up and down the field. First things he did when he got here, get Emmett Johnson the ball, and then talks about wide receivers. For how big these guys are, paraphrasing, not verbatim, we got to be able to block better. So that's the part of Holgorsen where there should be somewhat of agreement. It's not like he's coming in here just saying totally alien things. The things he was saying sounded more Midwestern belief than maybe what you're initially anticipating. Like when that was a big deal. He got here, he's talking about the blocking of wide receivers. Not probably the first comment we expected out of Holgorsen within that first real interview with the press. So again, it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I do think it's somewhere in the middle because Holgorsen, he does not seem like he's trying to shy away from Big Ten football. I don't think he talks the way he does when he first got here without somewhat agreeing with what Matt Rule is trying to do. And I do really think it's as simple as development, keeping guys on that train and development. And then when you finally get there, utilizing them properly. And turnover doesn't help, of course, but if they can get a group together that kind of fully understands, starts to click, build that chemistry, then you can get to that kind of easy, cool, free Holgorsen where he's calling plays almost just naturally, where he's setting things up, he's getting ready for that next series, whatever it may be. But I do think right now it's ironic that when he first got here, it's down to a page, but I just think that playbook got smaller and smaller and smaller as the year went on last year. And of course, the quarterback going down doesn't help. And we kind of end up in this point where I don't know if anybody truly knows what the best version of the offense last year looked like, even today.
Yeah, we still haven't seen it, the first 3 years of Matt Rule, which is also, interesting to think of that Dana Holgorsen was brought in to simplify. And now both things can be true, right? I don't think that, they're mutually exclusive, right? At the time, needed to pare down. Now it might be time to expand the playbook again. If there's enough guys out there that the coaching staff can trust. Girla Bear wants to know, do we know how true or false it was that Raiola was audibling out of a lot of Holgorsen's plays? we'll never know.
I was gonna say I
No.
don't have any info on that. but-
No, we're not in the huddle. We don't know what the play calls were. And both the coaches that we talked to last year and Dylan Raiola, when we heard from him, we're playing pretty coy about it. We know he had his certain degree of freedom
Mhm.
to do that at the line. And
They've
ne-
talked
ne-
about it at press conferences, like his
Quite a bit.
ability to check out of things that he sees on the field. So we know what
Yeah.
at least happened. To how much control he fully had over it, whether there's a problem or not, is the part we won't ever know.
Right. And my understanding of it too is that, is he checking into a whole new play? Maybe sometimes, but also sometimes plays come in a bunch. If you get this look, it's this one. If you get this look, it's the other one.
Yeah.
Which is the pre-snap communication part of it. You can also, audible one receiver's route because of the look that you're getting. And so I'm not sure exactly what the ratio was of called plays to audible plays. We'll never know the answer to that. But the talking point off of that is the offensive coordinator is not going to be right 100% of the time. The quarterback is not going to be right 100% of the time, which is where the longer you're able to keep a head coach, offensive coordinator, and quarterback pairing together, more often than not, the better you're going to be as an offense because of continuity, because of how you learn to see the game from a similar lens and understand what each other would like to do in that situation, to where, let's say it's, 2nd and 3 and you're at you're on like 46-yard line. Right. Is that shot time, or is that, hey, we need one more to get the ball to the end zone? Maybe for the offensive coordinator, yeah, let's take a shot, we can get it. Maybe for the quarterback, it's, hey, let's stay on schedule. And so if they can figure out how each other likes to navigate time score situation, that goes a long way. Scott Lincoln said Dylan called protections versus an all-conference center. Well, yeah, it's on the quarterback. It's also on the center. And we talked about that with Landon Hatchett actually as well a little bit. I think Justin Evans brought it up too, about how, figuring out the protections.
So the Washington Center?
Yes, the Washington Center. It's a team effort. It's not just one guy's job. It's not the quarterback dictating everything, but it's also not the center dictating everything, right? It's collaborative all the time. And if it was just Dylan Raiola running rampant with the calls, that's probably not a healthy culture. If it was, Nebraska making all the calls and not giving him any freedom, that'd be more understandable. But also, if you like a quarterback, you probably trust him enough to change plays once in a while. But if you're going to do it, if you're going to audible out of it, you better make sure it works. Because I think a lot of people would lean toward giving the benefit of the doubt to the guy in Dana Holgerson who's been doing this for, call it 30 years.
Well, then I think that's where the predictability really came from for Nebraska is, again, not to get to was he checking? Was it Justin Evans? Like, all that stuff. I won't know, and I won't ever fully get the details unless Dylan Raiola just comes out, one day and maybe writes a book like Bill Moose about his time here at Nebraska. But for me, it's the predictability just came a lot from the amount of sacks we were taking. And then, like, that's, again, super simple. A casual fan could pick that out. But, when you're taking sacks, if you want to, like, hey, the traditional thing is like run the ball 2 times, throw it on the 3rd time if you're not there yet, or if it's a 3rd and long. But it really did get to a point. It's like, if we want to get cute, try to run a pass play on 1st down, try to run a pass play on 2nd down, maybe catch the defense off guard. We were taking sacks. Then you're looking at 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13, whatever it may be. Nebraska's offense just became awfully predictable last year, to where there was no freedom for Holgerson. No one's asking for Holgerson to be cute on 3rd and 15. With some of the some of those games were crazy how many sacks we take, not just in a game, but like in a single drive or back to back, where we'd bail ourselves out, make a huge play, and then we'd shoot ourselves in the foot again. Where not penalties. We've actually, I'll give Matt Rule credit. On the Matt Rule era, the penalties actually have been cleaned up quite a bit since Frost, but just bad execution. And it's hard for me to look at Holgerson and saying, he doesn't know how to call the offense, or he doesn't know necessarily seeing, when we got forced to just be awfully predictable last year by a lack of execution. And a lot of it came just simply from pass protection. When you can't protect your quarterback, you're not going to be able to create a very fun script. It's going to be very mundane. It's going to be very vanilla, because you are a team that's very fragile. And that was the story of Nebraska's offense last year. When they caught a rhythm, listen, you did see flashes of Holgerson. They can move the ball up and down the field. The red zone, another area of the field where they couldn't quite get it moving, and maybe that goes back to the offensive line. You try to punch it in. A lot of times we did. We couldn't get through that wall. But when the rhythm was there, Holgerson was able to get the team up and down the field.
Typically early in games. And then the defense adjusts the rhythm. If it falls at some point, that's when Nebraska just completely
started to drown a little bit. The team could not catch the rhythm back once they lost it last year, more often than not.
Yeah, couldn't get back on beam.
No.
Couldn't consistently, find a way to take a possession off, right? Give the defense credit for making some plays and then march down and score the next drive, right? It was really boom or bust for Nebraska at times last year. And obviously, consistency would go a long way. Let's go ahead and go to break. We'll talk some more about this, more comments from Matt Rule, some news coming out of Big Ten Media Days. But a big thanks to Graham Tire Company, celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. Just got done with their anniversary sale. Hope you stopped in and were able to get your tires. But at Graham Tire, they're more than just tires. They do all kinds of car and light truck repairs too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. Graham Tire, getting you to the places that matter most. 402-464-5685 is the number to our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line if you'd like to be a part of the show. Talk some more Nebraska football big picture headlines coming out of Media Days next on The Ticket.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? By placing your bets at Warhorse Sportsbook. Their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Rick Heyman here from Starter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Starter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at starterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left at once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion with Window World Lincoln. Are you ready to transform your home? We offer exceptional replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing that will elevate your home's curb appeal and value. As a nationally known, locally owned business, we treat you like family and work tirelessly to deliver the best for less. Don't wait to give your home the upgrade it deserves. Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or check out windowworldlincoln.com. Let's make your home the talk of the neighborhood.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs, quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside's margaritas and old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Lincoln is full of great golf courses in a state that is getting national recognition for exceptional golf. Friend Country Club is worth the drive, just 40 minutes from Lincoln and home to one of the state's most respected 9-hole courses. Enjoy their restaurant with popular items like a 14-ounce ribeye, 10-ounce sirloin, or chicken fried steak. Open Thursday through Saturday from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Expand your horizons with a trip to Friend Country Club, just 40 minutes southeast of Lincoln. It's worth a visit.
Your line just went down. Production stopped. A supervisor wants answers, and someone's digging through a binder for the maintenance history. Every one of those minutes costs money, and most of the time, that breakdown could have been prevented. That's where Maintain X comes in. Maintain X catches the failure before it happens. Preventive maintenance plans on every key asset to improve reliability. Work orders assigned and tracked right from your phone. Everyone from the floor to the front office is in the loop. Real-time dashboards give managers instant visibility into what's been completed, what's overdue, and where the bottlenecks are. No more guesswork. Just a smarter, faster maintenance operation. Companies on Maintain X have cut unplanned downtime by over 30% and save thousands on parts and labor every year. See what it can do for your operation. Try Maintain X free at maintainx.com.
Are you looking for a fresh new hangout spot? Let me tell you about Liquid Assets Sports Bar, where Mondays mean new weekly drink and food features. With 23 taps, a full lineup of cans and bottles, and 40 TVs blasting every sports package out there, you'll never worry about missing a play. Savor high-end spirits at their stylish back shelf bar, enjoy a healthy, family-friendly menu, and catch all your favorite teams every day. Doors open daily at 11 a.m. Liquid Assets located on 2755 Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier, furry friends.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is Old School, hour one of the show, brought to you by the good folks over at Heartland of Nebraska Windows. They're based out of Hallam, Nebraska, and they offer a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while keeping their prices affordable. Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today for more info. 402-430-3852 is that number. You can also visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Going through some more Nebraska football Big Ten Media Days headlines, Harrison. A few other things that came to mind for me. Position switch for Jeremiah Jones.
Yeah.
From wide receiver to defensive line. Now, that's a position that Nebraska, I would say, needs some reinforcements, needs some help at. Not a whole lot of proven actual down-to-down production there. But Matt Rule said Jeremiah Jones was pass rushing on the scout team last year. Rule says as he saw himself having success, he thought, I can do this. And then Rule recommended Jeremiah Jones move to defense. That's a young man that was, if he was going to play defense coming into Nebraska, kind of Javen Wright 2.0, long, rangy, athletic, middle of the defense
unique
kind of
build
defender.
out there.
Oh, for sure.
Kind
unique
of a rover
athlete.
guy almost.
Oh, exactly. But then they said, nope, you're a wide receiver at 6'4", 180. Get out there and catch some passes. The switch to defense is interesting enough in its own right. What stood out to me more was that this guy, Jeremiah Jones, who might never have played defensive line in his life, who is listed as a wide receiver on the roster, was willing to play edge rusher on scout team to get reps, to get film, to, show that he's a team guy, all that good stuff. That tells me a lot about that young man, I think, to be willing to not just, take scout team receiver reps, but play scout team defensive end and rush the passer and maybe make that the future for him in Nebraska.
Yeah, I think there's two parts on this. One, maybe not exciting is not the right word. Maybe concerning, and the other side, very excitable. Similar to like when Isaiah Mosey moved to the running back room. Is that happening because he's such a natural talent there? Or do you realize, hey, we got a serious weakness in this room. We got to add some bodies to it. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Jeremiah Jones. Is it because he's a natural and we realize he's just going to fit well here? Or is it, again, I think it is true. You look at that group on that defensive line, you're wondering, we need to add some depth here because what we have right now, we don't think it's good enough heading into the year. On the positive side, to everything you just said, that's where I was going to go with the two. The fact that he was willing to play that on the scout team with not much experience at all. And of course, I'm sure at high school times he's been in positions like that. But that tells me that's a guy that's willing to work, that just wants to go play football. And Jay Foreman says it all the time. The normal host of this show, co-host of the show with you.
Moving 9 to 12 next week, by the way, 9 a.m. to noon. So
3 hours. You're still keeping your full 3 hours, but definitely keep an eye for that. But you got to love football. And everything that was said about Jones makes it seem like he generally just loves playing football. Like you're not doing that because, hey, in the 2026 season I'll be able to move and get, maybe a starting position. No, you go do it because I think you love football. I don't think it was ever a game plan for him to go start there potentially. I think that's kind of just a guy that likes the game and just anything he can do, to your point, get tape, get on the field, get reps, you'll take that. So again, I think there's two parts to it. I think they probably saw a weakness there, but at the same time, they probably maybe see Jones as high energy guy. He's showing the willingness.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he really is just that great of a fit on the defensive side of the ball.
Back on offense, a couple things out of the tight end room. Luke Lindenmeyer at his side podium says tight end Luke Sorensen, a freshman, is, quote, ahead of me physically, ? And again, without reading too far into it, I don't know if there's more to that quote. Is ahead of me physically from where I was as a freshman when I came in. Maybe that's what Luke Lindenmeyer was saying. If Sorensen is ahead of Lindenmeyer right now, that I would hope is pretty impressive, because we talked with Luke Lindenmeyer and recalling his journey as a walk-on from in the state of Nebraska.
Big 99.
Right. And then flipping to 44 by the time he got to play offense. Dana Holgerson not knowing his name, but saying, hey, if everyone played like 44, we'd be a much better football team. Luke Lindenmeyer's put in the work.
Yeah.
And if Luke Sorensen, has already put in some of that work in high school, we'll have to obviously see it translate to the Big Ten. That's a name a lot of people have been pretty excited about as a potential early contributor in his time in Lincoln. But I think it says two things. Number one, Sorensen must have, some pretty incredible gifts, and it has put them to good use in the weight room. It also says, okay, so there is a next step for Nebraska to take in terms of talent and body types. Because again, not at all knocking Luke Lindenmeyer, the work that he's put in to become a legitimate, option in the Big Ten, not just a change-up, not just a change of pace guy, but, a legitimate starting tight end in the Big Ten. He's good, but there's still room for growth, not just at tight end, but across the roster.
The tight end room's been interesting at Nebraska. It's honestly been one of the better rooms. Satterfield doesn't get enough credit. For being offensive. That was you had to really try hard to give me that head shake. I thought he
hasn't messed it up. I don't know. I don't know how much of it is him, because
I mean, I feel like, Luke Lindenmeyer is a great example of like getting a guy to just push through and making him, he becomes a great player by the end of it. Now, Satterfield used to be the offensive coordinator.
So and quarterback's coach when Lindenmeyer first got here.
Yeah, maybe got to pull back a little bit.
But I'm not trying to knock what Marcus Satterfield has done, because he hasn't messed it up, and clearly he's furthered and continued the development. But I think you can even go back to like Sean Beckton on Scott Frost's staff. I always thought Sean Beckton was a pretty underrated coach for the guys that he was able to bring in and develop into NFL guys.
That's probably a better example. But like, we've had like a pretty good tight end room where that's like one of the rooms where the development actually tracks now,
for like a decade.
The question of utilization, are we utilizing? That's always going to kind of ebb and flow. Certainly last year, you can make the argument. Lindenmeyer was a huge target for Dylan Raiola. Maybe the defense has honed on it. That's why he became less of a target. But, he was productive last year. But that's a room, and Luke Sorensen, maybe you kind of keep an eye on a guy like that too. Maybe it's just another one of those tight ends where Nebraska quietly has been getting some pretty solid tight ends, guys that are getting opportunities at the next level, not just college. So, I'm not necessarily surprised by it. I do think, to your point, when you have a decade of that, even if we don't get to give all the credit to a coach, that culture matters. And when you're kind of passing off from, I think it's another reason why Nebraska for a while there had a long sustained DB room, and maybe this year it builds off that again. There's certain rooms where when you have great group after great group, the coaches absolutely matter. The offensive play calling absolutely matters. But sometimes that culture starts to rub off. And I'm hoping that, again, Luke Sorensen will have to wait and see if it actually comes out on it. But it's high praise from a guy like Luke Lindenmeyer, who had to really work for everything. And if he is referring to when he first got here, that kind of takes away from the statement, because that's not surprising. We mentioned it. He was a walk-on, and great credit to him for becoming the athlete that he is today. But if he is talking about currently, which I think he is, further ahead than he was, that's a huge deal for a guy like Luke Sorensen. So I think there's a lot to look forward to in that tight end room. Again, it's just going to be coming, how does Holgerson, whether it's Cole Andrea or anybody in that quarterback room, like, are we getting the full use out of those guys? It's one of the easiest plays, especially when you got a quarterback out of rhythm, especially in the red zone. Like, hey, we can't run the ball, like a 3-yard hitch. Can he fake the run block? Like, just small things like that. If you trust your tight ends enough and they got the development, maybe that's finally an area where Nebraska can say that's a strength. We're going to utilize that through the entire course of the season.
Lindenmeyer also said Carter Nelson has, quote, taken off, end quote, since getting healthy. That's another guy that's only been able to be on the field sporadically with some injuries in his time at Nebraska.
Is he locked in tight end? Or I've been hearing on slot conversations, wide receiver conversations, tight end conversations.
Yeah, the roster had Carter Nelson as having bulked up
right?
Which is not what I would expect if he was moving to an outside type of receiver. I like the idea, though, of Carter Nelson as, a flexed out tight end that can block just enough to get away with it, right? As long as he's willing, he can probably become able. But I love the idea of Carter Nelson either boxing out on a little defensive back or, a nickel back, for example, or running past a bigger, less fleet of foot linebacker, right? If he can get behind those guys, if he can, post up and box out the little defensive backs to help move the chains. I don't know what Nebraska is going to end up getting out of Carter Nelson in the long run. His injury situation, to me, harkens back to Thomas Fidone, which I know was just a couple of years ago, but highly recruited guy that came in and made an impact in moments. And certainly Fidone's done more at Nebraska than Carter Nelson has. So I'm not saying it's a one-to-one comparison, but I do wonder what the ceiling looks like for a healthy Carter Nelson and what that could mean for 26.
I think a healthy Carter Nelson, we saw the flashes of already. I mean, you don't play A-man football and have multiple Power 4 schools taking a look at you unless you're that dude. He's a phenomenal athlete by everything that checks out. Again, to have that kind of national interest, and even at wide receiver, you were seeing it. He seems like he's got good hands. I'm curious to see the bulk that he put on, what that looks like. But this is junior year he's heading into now, right? Like this is a guy that it's time to start getting some use out of a guy like Carter. If he's fully healthy, ready to go, you hope this is the year where you start to see Carter Nelson really break out. And that's kind of the role that I thought they'd go with him, kind of as that extended tight end outside where you can, to your point, you get away with the blocking a little bit, or they maybe just go full in. It's like, hey, we're going to put you somewhat in a Bonner role where you're going to just be a slot. You're going to be a weapon, an athlete that we can put out you in some unique situations. It's just utilization. It's going to be the things with tight ends. Like Carter Nelson was a guy we were incredibly, incredibly excited about, and rightfully so. Can we make the most out of it? That's the part where a lot of our athletes, I hate to use the Bryce Banks example all the time, but like, how do we miss a guy? And this isn't a rule. How do we miss a guy on that? And then he goes to Rice, and then he goes to the Green Bay Packers. How do we miss on Wan'Dale Robinson trying to run him between the tackles? And then he goes on to have a great career after he leaves
1,000-yard slot guy.
Yeah, it's just insanity how we miss on some of these. And the guys I mentioned, that's not under the rule era. But that's the part with Nelson that you're hoping. It's like, okay, we got a guy. We're super excited about him for all the right reasons. Now's the time, junior year. Can he go out there and be one of those key players productively? Maybe key's not a role, but can he have significant moments throughout the course of the season? Not once, not twice, but multiple times where he's another guy we can rely on. And there's, to be fair, there's a few mouths to feed with Corey Barney and Isaiah Hunter Bonner. But I do think Carter Nelson's one of those guys. By year 3, you want him to be in that rotation.
No, I'm with you on that. The other thing we'll get to before we go to break, Matt Rule was asked I believe it was by Jerry Zanardo, what's the importance of facilities? Nebraska obviously having just finished one and thinking about the stadium renovation that is to come versus, holding that money, not withholding that money, but earmarking that money for NIL funds instead. And Rule gave a pretty good answer. Contained in the quote was something to the effect of, but what develops players more than an elite weight room, an elite training table? Good things for Nebraska to have, not knocking them. But you know what trains them to play football better than a weight room and a training table? Are good football coaches. What helps you win games? Good football coaches help you win games. Good football players help you win games. If this is the strategy Nebraska wants to go, more power to it, because the facilities are beautiful. I'm sure they are nation leading in whatever, form that is to you. But, I would rather Nebraska invest long-term in coaches, have good enough facilities. It's nice to have the best, but that's also arbitrary.
Yeah.
I think
you got to get the right
amount
guys.
Of time your coaches have their hands and their eyes on these players for practice and games, the better your assistant coaches are, the better your head coach is going to be, the better your whole team is going to be.
Well, it's identifying all those characters in the picture, right? Like the coaches got to be up to par. It's also the athletes. Like I can go walk up to UNL's beautiful weight room, Austin. I will never be that type of football player. Way too far from it. Even if I started at 18, I would be in better shape, but I would never be the build of a football player. Going to like the UFC, Francis Ngannou. I don't think he had a world-class weight room to become the terrifying heavyweight fighter that he was. Sometimes it's just, hey, it's in the genetics. You got to get the right guys in the weight room. Now, when you get the right guys and you have an elite strength training program, but you hope you have an elite strength training program, but the weight room's elite at the very least, and the nutrition, it's putting all those things together, but none of it matters unless you get the right guys in the room. So with the coaches, with the players, again, you can have the nicest facilities in the world. Indiana didn't matter. They won a national championship last year.
16-0. 16 wins.
And
in
I
one
bet you
season.
their strength
Crazy.
training, their weight room's probably a ways behind when compared. Now, I'm sure they can get a nice upgrade pretty soon if they haven't already.
Right.
But like, for anyone to say Indiana had the best facilities last year, that's a flat out lie. I'm sure they were towards the bottom, even in the Big Ten. It did not matter because they had the right coaches, the right players.
Mm-hmm.
If they had Nebraska's facilities, I don't want to know what Indiana looks like. That's a terrifying monster. But it's all that stuff to matter. It's great to have those things. It's great for recruiting. But now that it helps with recruiting, let's make sure we're getting the right recruits and the right coaches.
Speaking of being great for recruiting, facilities have been touted as helping in recruiting. But Troy Danon still says Nebraska needs to raise tens of millions of dollars in new funds. What does that look like? What does that mean for Nebraska? We'll get into that to wrap up Hour 1 of Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, buddy, here we go. Just keep your eye on the ball. All right, just swing right through it. Yeah, good job. Way to go. Hey, run it out. Okay.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Are you looking for a fresh new hangout spot? Let me tell you about Liquid Assets Sports Bar, where Mondays mean new weekly drink and food features. With 23 taps, a full lineup of cans and bottles, and 40 TVs blasting every sports package out there, you'll never worry about missing a play. Savor high-end spirits at their stylish back shelf bar, enjoy a healthy, family-friendly menu, and catch all your favorite teams every day. Doors open daily at 11 a.m. Liquid Assets, located on 2755 Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
Your line just went down. Production stopped. A supervisor wants answers, and someone's digging through a binder for the maintenance history. Every one of those minutes costs money, and most of the time, that breakdown could have been prevented. That's where MaintainX comes in. MaintainX catches the failure before it happens. Preventive maintenance plans on every key asset to improve reliability. Work orders assigned and tracked right from your phone. Everyone from the floor to the front office is in the loop. Real-time dashboards give managers instant visibility into what's been completed, what's overdue, and where the bottlenecks are. No more guesswork. Just a smarter, faster maintenance operation. Companies on MaintainX have cut unplanned downtime by over 30% and save thousands on parts and labor every year. See what it can do for your operation. Try MaintainX free at maintainx.com.
At Planet Fitness, your pace is as personal as your playlist. That's why right now, you can get up to 3 free months of Apple Music when you join for just $1 down. With best-in-class equipment, free fitness training, and a judgment-free environment, we have everything you need to go your speed. Join Planet Fitness for $1 down and get up to 3 free months of Apple Music. No commitment. Deal ends July 31st. Additional fees and restrictions apply. See Home Club for details.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. It's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear that you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Looking for a fun way to give back? Join us for the 2026 Kicks for Kids Nebraska Fun Run Walk, presented by Pinnacle Bank, on Saturday, August 22nd at James Arthur Vineyard. Enjoy a scenic 5K through beautiful grounds. Every step helps provide shoes to kids in Lincoln and Lancaster County schools, with options for adults, wine included, and kids. Registration fees include a t-shirt, medal, and bag. Sign up today and make a difference at kicksforkidsnebraska.org.
Right here in Lincoln, young people are waiting for someone like you. At Big Brothers Big Sisters, mentoring happens out in the community. Grabbing ice cream, shooting hoops, playing music, or just hanging out and talking. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up, spending time, and building a positive, consistent connection with a young person. Just a few hours each month can make a lasting impact. Be big. Start something life-changing today. Learn more at bbbsmidlands.org.
Lincoln is full of great golf courses in a state that is getting national recognition for exceptional golf. Friend Country Club is worth the drive, just 40 minutes from Lincoln and home to one of the state's most respected 9-hole courses. Enjoy their restaurant with popular items like a 14-ounce ribeye, 10-ounce sirloin, or chicken fried steak. Open Thursday through Saturday from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Expand your horizons with a trip to Friend Country Club, just 40 minutes southeast of Lincoln. It's worth a visit.
You started your business to build something special. Now it's time to grow and protect. At Pinnacle Bank, our treasury management services help you do just that. Through smarter payment technology, account administration, and fraud protection. So no matter the size of your business, you can get the most out of your financial operations. Request your free consultation at pinbank.com/consult. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
When something breaks, you want someone you can trust to fix it right. Empire Repair is now open in Waverly and ready to serve our community with reliable auto repair and maintenance. From routine service to bigger repairs, our team is here to keep you on the road. Stop by Empire Repair in Waverly or call 402-786-2224 to schedule your service today. Empire Repair, proud to serve Waverly.
Transform your watch party into a full fan experience. Benny's Battle Barge from Arbor Axe House is the mobile axe throwing trailer designed for fans who want more than just to watch from the sidelines. Step into a lane and go head-to-head while the game plays on screen. It's safe, fun, and perfect for groups who take their sports and their competition seriously. Upgrade your fan headquarters today. Charter the barge at arboraxe.com or call 402-802-9696. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. We're at the end of hour one of Old School. Coming up next, it will be Firsty Friday. Kevin Meyer's going to stop in here. I'm really excited to see Uncle Kev. Your boy needs a drink after the travel situations, so it'll be nice to catch up with Kevin. Hope he's been having a good week, and we'll look forward to talking to him coming up to start off the 4 o'clock hour here of
put you
Old
to sleep.
One
beverage
Louise, man,
for the travel that you've had, it might take 1 ounce of beer and you'll just pass out.
if I do, well, Rudy, show's yours. We'll hand it over to you until Monday, but we'll go from there. Money conversation from Nebraska and athletic director Troy Dannon talking to Sean Callahan. Dannon says, we, Nebraska, raised about 20% more money last year as a department, just operating money, transactional money, not stadium related, than we've ever raised in our school's history before. They said much of that increase was connected to the volleyball reseeding process, which opened the door for more fans to financially support the program. I think that's an interesting way of putting it. And Dannon also said, we have to generate tens of millions of dollars of new money in order to take care of our roster, take care of our athletes. And Sean Callahan writes, that's the backdrop behind several major decisions Nebraska is making, including reseeding, jersey patch opportunities, new sponsorship agreements, and other fundraising initiatives. Tens of millions of new dollars needed for the rosters.
I wish we could word it a little bit better, not take care of our athletes, compete with other universities. That's the one thing I'd change in that quote. Because it's just, that's the cost of sports now. I get it. Millions of dollars is beyond taking care of. That's just competing with other promising universities. That's the way unless you're looking at this differently than I am.
I don't mind him saying to take care of our roster, because I think what he's referring to is raising those extra millions for the retention cap that's coming as well. Because
yeah, I get it.
You have the rev share, and they're essentially doing their version of bird rights at this point, where, hey, you can go above and beyond. You can utilize this extra pool of money to retain athletes that were already on your own roster. At least that's the thought. It's not official, hasn't come to pass yet at this point. So I wonder if that's more specifically what he was referring to. But yes, it is still, a competition. I think you're spot on about that, is that, not only in terms of facilities, not only in terms of coaches' development role opportunity, the money is a piece of it. And we've heard a bunch of coaches say, I don't think the kids are in it for the money, but they'd be dumb not to take it, and it's certainly a piece of the decision-making process for them. But it's just, and again, I'm not saying Troy Dannon is wrong about this. I'm not saying even Matt Rule was wrong about this stuff when he said it. It's just exhausting in a lot of ways. It makes me just kind of scoff or chuckle, whatever you want to call it. When we hear all this ping-ponging from Nebraska, oh, we've raised the most money we ever have. We're still tens of millions of dollars short. Oh, you should have seen how bad the financial situation was when we got here. But also a big thank you to everyone who has us, competing at the top of the Big Ten. Oh, but wait, now we're tens of millions of dollars short because we're behind everyone and we're playing catch up. But, our athletes are the most well taken care of. I'm not saying it's all mutually exclusive. I'm not saying it's all contradictory. But for every time we hear Nebraska say we've raised more money than ever, we're financially healthy, we're still not drawing money from the academic side of the university, and we're competitive with the top programs in the nation, it seems like within a couple months, it's, oh, wait, we still need tens of millions of new dollars, right? This isn't just something we can, redistribute. We can't just reshuffle the deck. We actually need to find a new revenue source, right? Or, well, we might not be able to pay top dollar like some of these other programs. And again, they're not necessarily contradictory,
right?
But I can understand how there are people out there that might not follow this stuff as closely that would think it is contradictory in some ways.
Well, I do think, okay, so like in the defense of Dan, and also like I understand a nitpick, you can nitpick a million things. I say there's probably some slight things you'd pick out, but where I would say with this is I do think they are in a state that is constantly evolving and constantly changing. So the ping-ponging maybe shouldn't be terribly surprising. Now, maybe how you speak about things, you'd be a little bit more careful about how you approach certain topics. But I do think there is that reality of like, listen, that is college sports. It is ping-ponging in every direction when it comes to NIL revenue, conferences, the NCAA's involvement, the 5-year rule. There's been so many changes that the ping-ponging isn't totally surprising. Matt Rule even had a moment with the ping-ponging, talking about we have more money heading into this transfer portal, and then we get to a press conference, and ultimately, paraphrasing that verbatim, but simply talking about it's gone up. The number's gone up again for how much these guys cost. So the ping-ponging is almost just kind of a natural cause that has been the wild, wild west of college sports. How do you solve it? You just keep raising money. I don't know, maybe do Top Golf at Memorial Monday through Friday. Like, that's not going to cut it, but like, that's the state of college sports. Like, we're not just doing Top Golf because we think it'd be a lot of fun. It's another way to make some revenue, and it's fine. I have no problems with that. We're not having more concerts because it's just a lot of fun to put these things together. We can generate more revenue. And again, okay with it, that is the version of college sports, and it's going to ping pong some more. I would be very surprised if it does not in the next, I give it like 10 years of ping ponging before the dust finally settles.
Mr. Mike D says, Danon's take on the volleyball reseed is BS. It was an opportunity to screw over loyal volleyball fans. I am not so in the weeds on this as to profess I know everything that went into that decision. My understanding of it, and again, tell me if I'm wrong, happy to be corrected, and I'll rescind anything I say incorrect, is that it had been a really long time since Nebraska did that. And that most other institutions, universities, schools, whatever, are more willing to do this more frequently than Nebraska has been. And so, I think part of being, best fans of this, best fan base of that, is continuing to show up, is continuing to give the same donation you always have, maybe adjusted a little bit for inflation. But, also, okay, if all you can do is afford the same amount, can you blame Nebraska for needing to make more money in this day and age, right? What's more important, having your seat you've always sat in or being in the building, right? As long as you can still afford to get in the building. Again, I've never been a season ticket holder. I get, the memories that are made in these seats. I can understand to a degree, despite never having fully been there myself.
Right.
But plain and simple, Nebraska's telling you it needs more money. I'm under the impression that Nebraska held off on doing this for a long time. And so it's never going to come at a good time. You're never going to make everyone happy with this. In fact, you're going to probably make more people upset. But, I'm okay with what Troy Danon said, because, maybe there are, some people at these companies or, that have some money or whatever to give the university that have wanted in for a long time, that they can afford to pay, I don't know, $10,000 instead of $5,000, $8,000 instead of $4,000, $2,500 instead of $1,000, whatever it is and whatever those numbers look like, maybe they're the new loyal fans that need a seat in the stadium. So again, I don't know. I'm not so deep in the weeds on it, but I think it's at least defensible.
I'll say this much before I'll let we switch things over to Kevin Meyer for Thirsty Friday. But this, This is where I do feel, because like I understand the loyalty aspect, like especially for volleyball, you feel like, hey, we were here when this wasn't even popular, nobody really cared. Now it's one of the biggest things ever, and we're getting cut out because maybe we don't have the funds to go get those season tickets again, or have the pick that we wanted to.
Yeah.
At the same time, it was a long time coming. It's an unpopular move, and that's where
It always is going to
give
be.
Dan credit, because it's volleyball, basketball. I think PBA did the same thing, right?
PBA is going to in 2029. They pushed it back.
Still part of that process. But again, making these decisions, baseball, we saw it, softball, we saw it. Like, it's not a fun guy to be in there to take season tickets away and kind of reset the shuffle. But at the same time, you would be lying. I think you'd be lying to yourself if you said it wasn't overdue when comparing to other programs. So again, I'm not saying you're wrong if you think they should have kept it the way, but when you look at other universities, I do think unique in that factor, how we hadn't reset it for as long as we did.
Mr. Mike D, I'll read your text since we do have to get to break. 5086 says, yeah, it might suck, but if you want volleyball to be successful, it needs money. What if I'm a loyal Snickers eater? Should the price never go up for me to buy a Snickers bar?
That's why I like
not
Arnold
exactly
Palmer,
the same thing, but I get your point, and it's taken. Dan from Canopy, Gino, we'll get to you offline as well. Let's get to break. Firsty Friday, Kevin Meyer, Myers Cork and Bottle in the house. We'll do that next.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $195 per month for 36 months. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1009974, $195 per month lease for 36 months with approved credit, 7,500 miles per year, 10,000 due at signing, no security deposit required, tax, title, and license fees expert, residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 8/31/26.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Looking for a fun way to give back? Join us for the 2026 Kicks for Kids Nebraska Fun Run Walk, presented by Pinnacle Bank, on Saturday, August 22nd at James Arthur Vineyard. Enjoy a scenic 5K through beautiful grounds. Every step helps provide shoes to kids in Lincoln and Lancaster County schools, with options for adults, wine included, and kids. Registration fees include a t-shirt, medal, and bag. Sign up today and make a difference at kicksforkidsnebraska.org.
Ever look at your house and think, ouch, it's stuck in the past? Or realize that your kitchen needs a new everything? Like thousands of homeowners, you can simply call SprayNet Lincoln. Their patented spray system and paint delivers a flawless factory finish. No mess, done in a day, and cost effective. It looks just like new, including your vinyl. And it's all backed by their 15-year no-peel warranty. SprayNet Lincoln, custom chemistry and smarter painting. Google SprayNet Lincoln or call them now at 402-383-3336 or email ching@spray-net.com.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Guys, if you're dealing with low back pain or trouble urinating, don't just live with it. These could be signs of treatable conditions. At Advanced Medical Imaging, their interventional radiologists specialize in minimally invasive procedures designed to relieve symptoms and improve your quality of life without major surgery. June is Men's Health Month. Take the step. Call Advanced Medical Imaging today to schedule a consult and find out what AMI can do for you.
Is there anything worse than paying for something that's done half-assed? You buy something, you want it to work, especially when it comes to your internet. When you're trying to stream a movie, work from home, or shop online, half-assed internet doesn't get it done. At Allo Fiber, we don't do anything half-assed. We offer 100% real fiber and real human support that serves the community from the community. So while others may say they have fiber, in the end, there's half-fast fiber, and then there's Allo Fiber. Allo Fiber, internet built for you.
Why wait until Friday to start your weekend?
Go ahead, start right now.
You're thirsty now, and 93.7 The Ticket is here to help you stock up.
Just in time for the weekend when I like to hit the clubs.
Time to broaden your horizons and try some new wine and beer. It's Thirsty Thursday with Kevin Meyer from Meyer's Cork and Bottle.
Stand by.
I almost
Stand
forgot
by.
the wine.
I
It was in
wondered.
the box.
I
Yeah.
wondered.
I was busy telling stories. Uncle Kev got a little sidetracked.
That'll happen. We'll give you a moment here to take
Well,
one
here,
for
let's
yourself.
do this just to tide us over.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Oh, that's going to taste extra good today.
Oh, okay, we'll have to swap stories potentially on air, whichever ones you're willing to tell. It is Thirsty Thursday, but on a Friday, Frosty Friday, as the 7610 says. Happy check days.
Nice. I like Frosty Friday. We were just calling it Firsty Friday, but that's not really a word. Frosty Friday really is. So nice cold beer on a hot summer day, although it's 80 outside, which is nice little breeze kicking. So I think that's a perfect Friday.
It is apt. We will work with it. We got Rudy in here. This your first Thirsty Thursday, Rudy?
It is. Very excited. Very, very. I enjoy some wine here, so that was beautiful.
There it is.
Nice.
That's a good one for the debut episode for Rudy. Yes.
Rudy and I first met last summer doing BP with DP at Salt Dogs Stadium, so at Haymarket Park.
Is that the one I broke your bat at?
Probably.
I was
Yeah, that was
I was using that little wood bat, and I'd like to say I had warning track power. I didn't even have warning track power. I think if I got it between the left fielder and the third or in the shortstop, then that was, I had a couple base knocks, but that's about it.
We'll count it for you.
No, it's something.
It sounds like your week's been something.
Yeah, it just is what it is. The life of being a business owner. So you say you want to own your own business. Well, guess what? You're responsible for everything. So
And the monkey's paw curls constantly. We sat in the Lincoln Airport for 10 hours on Monday.
Oh, that's even worse than being in a plane. Just sitting there. We got stuck in Charlotte for 7.5 hours like a couple weeks ago. And,
coming back from the last time?
yeah.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
it's like, what do you do?
How is the Charlotte Airport?
It's actually pretty nice. It's not huge, but it's also not small. So you walk everywhere. So
Like
it's
bigger than Omaha?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Much bigger than Omaha, but not as big as like Atlanta or even
Denver?
Not as big as Denver.
Okay.
Not as big as Miami. So I would call it
That's
sort of
mid-size sedan.
Yeah, exactly. That's a 100% accurate statement.
What's
But
your
they-
favorite thing to do in the Charlotte Airport after 7.5 hours?
Drink beers.
Okay, I figured, but I want to make sure.
Well, but the thing is that you don't want to have too many because who wants to have to go to the bathroom on an airplane, right? So you have to kind of go, well, I'm going to have to cut it off now just so I don't have to constantly get up on the airplane because that's the worst.
That is understandable.
When you're over 6 foot tall trying to take a whiz on an airplane, it's no fun.
Yes, and he's 6 foot tall, long limbs don't help, and it's Doug says CLT is a time warp. I was walking, it told me gate A was 9 minutes away. I walked for 2 minutes, it told me gate A was 11 minutes away. I was going the right direction.
I have noticed that some of their gates are not in numerical order. I also noticed that in Philadelphia. You're like, oh, here's gate 29, gate 30 should be next. Nope, that's gate 34. Gate 30 is over that way. More Philly than Charlotte, but in Charlotte you have to walk everywhere. There is no like tram or train or whatever. They do have some of those moving escalator sidewalk type things, but to me, like those, you just get someone that's sort of standing there in the middle, and so it's like I can actually walk faster than not get stuck behind you. So whatever.
We'll keep swapping stories. Let's do it over some beer as you pass it out. And Eric, we are going to allow Rudy into Thirsty Thursday. Eric says Rudy and his Texas fandom don't deserve to join Uncle Kev. Bleep Texas.
I am a Husker fan. It's Big Ten Media Weeks. I'm a Husker fan right now. I'm bought in.
You better be.
You a Texas guy, Rudy?
I'm from Texas, so I kind of have a pass there.
You do have a pass if you're
I
from
try
there.
to hide it when I'm here sometimes.
Well,
I'm just on sometimes.
Sometimes
you just have to, embrace your local, your locale. It would be a better way to say. So where you are is where you embrace. But you're allowed to have dual citizenship if that's where you're from.
Thank you. Yes.
What are we drinking first here, Kev?
Okay, so brand new, hot off the line, White Elm's Helles style German lager, in the new 16-ounce 4-pack cans.
Ooh.
And I was texting Colby Wood, who's the owner brewer at White Elm, and I said, dude, these cans look awesome. I think it's going to be, it's going to show up better on the shelf. And I know that it's a more profitable entity. So doing 4 16-ounce cans for the brewery is probably 3 times the revenue than doing 6-pack 12-ounce.
Okay.
And when I say the revenue, that means that basically they make a little bit of money. On the 6-packs, they don't make any at all. So it just becomes de facto advertising. So they can actually make a few bucks a case by distributing these out. And I think they show up on the shelf a lot better. And he responded back and said, something magical came together when we were brewing that day. This turned out better than anticipated. It was a chef's kiss. And after I had it, I was like, dude, I'm not blowing smoke. I think this is my favorite beer that I've drank all year.
Wow. It's good.
So give it a shot.
This is crisp. This is clean. I love the summer vibes. The can almost gives me more like late spring kind of vibe.
Yeah.
The kind of
or
deep
autumn.
Green, maybe some autumn.
With the big elm tree on there. Yeah.
Absolutely. But this is an all seasons beer. It might be a little harder to get into in winter. I mean, we'll get into that, before we know it. But this is incredible.
It's the thing of what makes a Helles lager different than a regular lager is that it's just a little bit more malty forward. So it has low IBUs, which are international bitters units. So it's just a little bit of that malty, bready sweetness, supposed to be eminently drinkable, really smooth, soft on the palate. Rudy, what's your take, man?
Yeah, I think the word you used in there was soft, and like that's always what I'm looking for when I'm looking for just any beer is what's going to go down the easiest. Because like you mentioned at the airport, me when I'm drinking, I'm not going to stop at one. So whatever goes down pretty smooth, pretty easy is always a fan favorite. But yeah, the flavor is good. Like it doesn't taste too strong in a sense where I'm not going to grab another one. I'm going to finish this pretty soon here. But yeah, it goes down very crisp. Enjoy that it's freezing cold too. That's always the best for it. But yeah, I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan.
It's the Myers Cork and Bottle famous mobile cooler, which is a bag of ice with the beer inside of it. But we were having this conversation one time, and just like there are certain environments that make a beer taste better. Mm-hmm. That airport beer, I think, is one of those environments. Amen. Obviously, a boat beer is one of those environments. A garage beer is one of those environments. A tailgate beer, a fire beer.
Yep. I experienced an outdoor wedding beer earlier this month.
Yeah.
And that outdoor wedding beer was a Spotted Cow.
The Wisconsin.
Yes. The Milwaukee wedding outdoor. So that's my first Spotted Cow.
If this tells you how much that Wisconsinites drink, New Glarus.
Oh, Peyton says shower beer.
Shower beer is on that list.
That is, wow. Good job, Peyton.
The New Glarus Brewery at one time, not that long ago, was the 4th largest microbrewery in the United States, and they don't distribute out of the state of Wisconsin. So if that tells you anything,
it's a shame. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been so this month really has been an alcoholic adventure for me, Uncle Kev. I just looking for some alliteration if I could find it. So I had Spotted Cow for the first time up in Milwaukee,
which
is a couple of them.
It is a cream ale by definition.
Oh,
so
it was great. I had a couple of them.
Yeah,
and then so we were in Chicago for media days. Thank you. Did not have a beer in the Lincoln airport, despite being there for 10 hours.
Oof.
Jake and I got stuck in O'Hare. We left media days a little early, so we could get to our 5:45 flight out of Chicago to get home by 7:30. We had barely left by 7:30 this morning.
Oh,
it got pushed to you'll board at 6:30. Oh, now it's gonna be 9. Oh, kidding. We found a crew. Now it's gonna be 9 o'clock. We'll move it up to 8:30. But by the time you take off, there are going to be some storms in Lincoln, so we're going to look for an alternate route. And so they finally just delayed the flight overnight at like 10:30 last night. So
that's brutal. Because you can drive from Chicago in 9 hours.
We could have
spent 12 in the airport.
We spent we spent 10 in the airport just overnight, or just from essentially 7 hours there. luckily, we got like one of the last reservations that United keeps for the Hilton that's attached there to O'Hare. So we were able to keep that. I set my alarm for 3:45, set another one for 4, shut it off. Next thing I know, it's 4:54 for a 6:30 flight. So I throw everything. I meant to shower, didn't do that till I got home, whatever. I made it in time. It was a 5-minute walk over there and a 5-minute deal at security is all it was.
You got lucky.
I did get lucky. Big man upstairs was looking out for me. But in between the waiting at the Lincoln Airport and the waiting at O'Hare and in the Hilton at O'Hare, I had my first shot of Malort and I had my first Old Styles.
Okay, well, the Malort is an exercise in personal punishment that I wouldn't wish upon anyone.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Really?
The aftertaste, like it lingered. The aftertaste was not pleasant, but the actual shot itself,
not that bad.
I didn't think, given the reputation, maybe I went in expecting it to be like the worst thing ever. And maybe it was better because it was free. This guy's, I was drinking with my cousin. We went to dinner and got some drinks afterwards. And one of the bartenders was just talking
You're
about,
in Chicago, you got to have Malort.
Yeah. And so my cousin brought up, or just was asking me, you weren't here when everyone did Malort. I'm like, yeah, no, I've never had it. The bartender ever heard. So what would you do if it just kind of showed up in front of you? Like, well, I'll have to see what happens if it just shows up in front of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had the shot of Malort, washed it down with an Old Style, and had another Old Style Wednesday night.
Rudy, you ever had Malort?
I have not. I'm not too sure what this is.
It's special.
Yeah, it's especially bad is what it is. And it's a Chicago thing. It's sort of like you're indoctrinated into the city of Chicago by doing a Malort shot. It's one of those things that just because you can doesn't mean you should, but it is kind of a unique club.
I felt obligated to do it, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a club.
It's an experience.
It's maybe a cult, but it's a club. Yeah, for sure.
Would I do it willingly? Would I pay for it? No. If it shows up at my table, fine, let's have an experience.
Just to be, one of the boys for sure.
Let's have something that tastes better than Malort, though. Let's move on to the wine. What we got here?
Okay, so like a month ago, we brought in the Black Stallion Cabernet.
Okay.
And it immediately became my favorite wine. It's a Napa Valley Cabernet that's on the shelf for $30. You don't see that, especially that quality. To me, it drinks like a $75 wine. Well, we also brought in the Pinot Noir. And this comes from Carneros, which is basically the district that straddles the Napa Sonoma line. And it's a cool, dry, consistent climate. And that's what Pinot Noir needs because it's a thinner skinned grape. And so if you plant Pinot in a place where it gets too hot, those grapes will just shrivel up. If it gets too wet, they'll actually burst. So it's a very finicky wine to do well. But when it's done in the right place, it actually possesses the greatest number of phenols or chemical compounds of any of the grape varietals. But because the skin is thinner, it's more elegant and sort of sophisticated. And it's just it's a little more austere. So
austere. Look at you. Look at the brain on bread.
Well, it must be the German Ellis beer talking. I don't know. But so Black Stallion Estate Winery. We carried this winery about 10 years ago, and it was meh. It was okay. I thought it was decent, but not necessarily a great value in terms of quality for the buck. Well, since then, the winery's been sold, and they've reduced it. So now they're only making estate wines. And those are what the definition of that is you're only making wine from the grapes you grow yourself. So it really has your fingerprint on it from start to finish. And it's the bigger the volume, the smaller attention to detail. So the smaller the volume, the more detail you can give it. And so I thought I'd bring this in and share it with you. Usually a Pinot Noir this quality is going to be north of $50. These are on the shelf for $25. Wow. And give it a taste. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'd buy it at 50, but for 25, that's a steal.
Boy, that is good. And I'm not usually a Pinot Noir guy, but when they're good, they're really good. It can be like Breaking Bad, though. That's a high that you can try to chase and not find. But I still think out of the tens of thousands of wines that I've had in my lifetime, the very best one I ever had was a Pinot. It was a French Burgundy. But gosh, for $25, this is awesome.
Rudy?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The price is what's going to stand out a lot for me. The taste is good. So I like the way it doesn't really, there's not an aftertaste that I'm like, I'm not going to keep sipping. I'm getting through this glass pretty quickly here, but yeah, for $25, this is definitely it might make its way into my apartment at some point. So I'm enjoying it for sure.
You could take the rest of this home with you tonight if you'd like.
All right, if no one else is taking it, it's
Well,
going. Yeah,
it's his rookie show. He gets to take the bottle, and that's the deal. So
there you go. I get like the lineup card, like the baseball players do. I love it.
There you go. I can dig it.
Kev, I was a little surprised. I didn't expect it to be so punchy right away. It kind of hit me, but that really mellowed out and smoothed out the more I've gotten through the glass.
I think your palate acclimates, so that first one can jump at you a little bit, and then you just sort of get used to it, and then it softens as well as it's sitting here and whatnot. But I was thinking, like food pairings, like a good smoked salmon, something like that is good. But you know what I love during the summer that I don't really talk about that much is a good kebab.
Oh, you're a kebab guy.
I'm a kebab guy. Yeah.
Build a kebab for us.
Okay. Well, I like to do chicken or beef, and obviously you just cube those. Some red onion, and make sure that they're nice and like I don't know, like a 2x2 square.
Okay.
Substantial. Mushroom.
Okay.
Green pepper. And then, if you want to dabble a little bit, you could, maybe throw in a little jalapeno or something along those lines. But I think that's really all you need. And then just rinse and repeat. Skewer those up. A nice little drizzle. Maybe you could do like a honey sriracha. You can do any marinade you want. And, you could go barbecue. You could go, sort of a Worcestershire base, and just keep basting that. Go low and slow, because you want the chicken to get done all the way through. And you don't want the vegetables to cook faster than the chicken does. So you got to go low and slow. And then just something simple like some Uncle Ben's,
okay.
Just if you want to get fancier, then you could do an unseasoned, wild rice or in grilled potatoes, anything like that. But yeah, just if you want to make it easy, just skewer that up, some Uncle Ben's, and that's a great meal. And a wine like this, I think, would be fantastic.
Kebabs are not a thing I think to put together all that much, but I'm sure my 2-year-old would love the idea of a kebab.
Absolutely.
Just peel it all off one piece at a time, have it on a stick. That's novel.
Yeah, for sure.
You probably inspired me for the weekend, Kevin. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's to you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I know people that even do, they'll chunk off, piece of corn on the cob, that sort of thing too. But you can really just make it fun. And then, you could even do like dessert kebabs, with some grilled pineapple, something along those lines. And the kids will eat that up too.
Oh, my 2-year-old is all about that fruit life.
Yeah.
He gets that from his mom. He does not get that from his dad. Dad will partake in fruit, but I probably get more
comes
fruit
in
on
a bag
Thursdays
in the shape of a ring.
Right? Or it comes, in liquidized form and might have been fermented a little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Where I get the majority of my fruit. Speed Limit wants to know, Kevin, do you carry any, I assume it's Deschutes?
Deschutes, yeah.
Deschutes Brewery. And have you ever been to Bend, Oregon?
I have not been to Bend, Oregon. I've been to the Portland area once. My brother was going to culinary school out there, and so I went and visited him for just a couple of quick days one time. But I've heard Bend is beautiful, and yeah, we carry quite a few different Deschutes beers. Their most famous one is what's called Fresh Squeeze, and then they'll do a version of that called Fresh Haze, and then they do some mix packs and things like that, which we also carry. But Deschutes is maybe one of those Mount Rushmore type of IPAs, in my opinion.
My cousin actually does news out there in Bend.
Oh, yeah?
So I meant to get out there and visit him when I went out to Corvallis for the women's tournament a couple of years ago, but couldn't find the time to make it work. But I've heard nothing but good things about him. Now, he is from the Pacific Northwest. He was born and raised in Seattle. So that's completely his vibe, but he loves it out there.
It's absolutely beautiful. Great fishing out there, if you're into the fly fishing and trout and whatnot, but you can also, great hiking trails. It's just a beautiful spot, and it's sort of weirdo country, which I like, I don't know. I'm drawn to that sort of thing, not necessarily for any other reason than just it's interesting to me.
We know you're a fisherman. Have you ever done the fly fishing thing?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm big into it.
Okay.
I don't get to do it as much as I'd like to, but I've started not recently, but started doing a little saltwater fly fishing. I actually caught my first bonefish.
Oh,
and
nice job.
Pound for pound, they will drag you.
Yeah.
And I've caught.
But you won.
I've caught muskie that didn't fight me as hard as a 3-pound bonefish.
Dang.
And it's fun.
Neil wants to know, do you know anything about Praise Artisan's seasonal spicy pickle monster beer?
It's I think it's Prairie is what he probably got auto corrected.
Okay. Prairie Artisan.
We've carried that as well. I don't know that it's in current rotation because I don't think they make it all year round, but it does hit the shelf when it is available.
Where can people find these shelves, Kevin?
These shelves are located at the corner of 13th and South Street, and a full glowing neon.
Yes!
You'll make it out. You can see it out front. It says Myers Cork and Bottle instead of Ayers Cork and Bottle or just Cork and Bottle or whatever. Sometimes when it rains, it decides not to light up at all. But
no, it survived the storm last night.
It did survive the storm last night. My dog Jimmy and I had a slumber party because Jimmy doesn't like the thunder, and so it's been a weird week with sleeping with my dog who sits there and vibrates because he doesn't like it. So then Uncle Kev doesn't sleep that well. But the neon is lit, store is stocked full, and people are kind of coming back from their vacations, getting ready for school. It's a good time to stock up and relive those last few remaining days of summer. Although summer is going to go on for another 2 months, it goes into basically October around here. So there's plenty of summer left and plenty of stuff to keep you hydrated.
Doug wants to know: have you ever thought about how conveniently located you are next to two schools, and how do the teachers appreciate your location?
We do appreciate our teachers, and I believe they appreciate us too.
Symbiotic relationship.
Indeed, those are the best kind.
As it is here on Old School. That's Kevin Meyer from Myers Cork and Bottle. Thank you as always, Kevin. Good to see you. And here's to a slower week.
All right. Well, and here's to Rudy for sitting in with us.
Here's to Rudy.
Thank you, guys. This was
made
amazing.
the debut.
This was his inaugural. He's no longer a Thursday virgin.
No,
he is not.
Frosty Friday, baby.
There we
This was
go.
amazing.
We'll be back with more Old School after this.
Thank you.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $195 per month for 36 months. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1009974, $195 per month, lease for 36 months with approved credit, 7,500 miles per year, 10,000 due at signing, no security deposit required, tax, title, and license fees expert, residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 8/31/26.
Guys, if you're dealing with low back pain or trouble urinating, don't just live with it. These could be signs of treatable conditions. At Advanced Medical Imaging, their interventional radiologists specialize in minimally invasive procedures designed to relieve symptoms and improve your quality of life without major surgery. June is Men's Health Month. Take the step. Call Advanced Medical Imaging today to schedule a consult and find out what AMI can do for you.
Building a new home can be a challenge, a lot of big choices. With our Remington homes, we have designed 15 different floor plans that appeal to a wide range of people.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier.
People really enjoy being able to go to our website, which is remingtonlincoln.com, pick a plan, pick a price point, go through and build it yourself. You have a lot of options, whether you want granite, painted trim, wood floors, more stone, all options with our Remington homes. People do not want to be married to their house payment. You're able to get what you really want in a home for a great price with very limited stress. And that's what Remington homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
Ever look at your house and think, ouch, it's stuck in the past? Or realize that your kitchen needs a new everything? Like thousands of homeowners, you can simply call SprayNet Lincoln. Their patented spray system and paint delivers a flawless factory finish. No mess, done in a day, and cost effective. It looks just like new, including your vinyl. And it's all backed by their 15-year no-peel warranty. SprayNet Lincoln, custom chemistry and smarter painting. Google SprayNet Lincoln or call them now at 402-383-3336 or email ching@spray-net.com.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Power Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white truck, you know the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built upon hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with room for advancement.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Is there anything worse than paying for something that's done half-assed? You buy something, you want it to work, especially when it comes to your internet. When you're trying to stream a movie, work from home, or shop online, half-assed internet doesn't get it done. At Allo Fiber, we don't do anything half-assed. We offer 100% real fiber and real human support that serves the community from the community. So while others may say they have fiber, in the end, there's half-fast fiber, and then there's Allo Fiber. Allo Fiber, internet built for you.
Remember your first Salt Dogs game? Maybe it was a class trip out on the berm, or date night with actual fireworks, or team building that didn't feel like work at all. For 25 seasons, Haymarket Park remains Lincoln's place for firsts like these, the kind that last. Because it's more than a baseball game. It's the joy of being here together. These are the traditions that bring us home. So here's to you, Lincoln. Your local tradition plays on. Get your tickets at saltdogs.com.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket.
That's right. Welcome in. It is hour 2 of Old School. Big thanks to Kevin Meyer from Meyer's Cork and Bottle for stopping by on a frosty Friday. I think that was 5086 that sent that in, and I think that's what we're rolling with. Actually, sorry, it was 7610. 7610. Thank you for that. That name, Frosty Friday, works. We are here for it. So thank you for that. Thanks to Kevin. As always great to catch up with him. Appreciate his flexibility as we finally got back from Big Ten Media Days. While we were on the road to Big Ten Media Days, we got a chance to hear from Nebraska men's basketball head coach Fred Hoiberg, press conference along with a few players that showed up. And so I want to go over some of that audio that Fred Hoiberg mentioned at his press conference. And there's a lot to get to from Fred Hoiberg. One of the themes of the offseason for Fred Hoiberg has been finding vocal leadership. Last year's team that set all sorts of school records, best season hands down, no holds barred in school history, had a couple of incredibly vocal leaders, right? Sam Hoiberg, Rink Mast come to mind. Berke Buchtengel certainly belongs in that conversation. And Fred Hoiberg has mentioned that he's still looking for that out of this team. And certainly players have mentioned that as well. So here's an update on the vocal leadership. Who's taking charge on the floor? This is Fred Hoiberg, Nebraska men's basketball head coach from Monday.
Yeah, Kale's done a really nice job as expected. He's really, been a leader by example, I think, the last couple of years. And I think shown that you can still have a tremendous impact on the team, maybe even if you don't have a huge role. And then last year he was, it was really good to see Kale in a role where he was a fixture in our rotation and helped us win a lot of games. I thought he was really good for us all season. And now that you lose Sam, you lose Rink, you lose Jamarcus, you lose Kendall and Jared. I think he's done a really good job of being a consistent voice on the floor. I've talked about Bowden being a vocal leader. I think he does set the tone every day with his voice. Price is definitely taking a step in the right direction with it. It's nice having Connor back on the floor, with Trev and Taj coming in and playing a lot of one. it's important for those guys to use their voice. I would say overall it's a little quieter group than it was a year ago. Not to say that, it's a bad group of guys or anything, but it definitely has been a little bit quieter in our gym. So we're constantly talking about that in our culture meetings, and hopefully we continue to make progress. We're better now than we were a couple weeks ago, but we still have room to grow in that area. But, it's not a defiant group at all. I've had defiant groups in the past at different stops and different coaching places, but this group has really been, keyed in on learning the system and getting better and growing. But I'd still like to see that gym be a little noisier.
Still work to do from Nebraska head basketball coach Fred Hoiberg in terms of finding some vocal leadership. Not at all surprised to hear from Fred Hoiberg that Cale Jacobson has been a vocal leader. Cale spoke earlier in the offseason, said that was a big point of emphasis for him. Part of that was knowing he belongs, right? Playing actual legitimate rotation minutes last season. Bowden Kapke is a guy that I know a friend of the program, Wilson Moore, wrote about in terms of the infectious energy. I think Braden Frager said that Kapke's energy was similar to Josiah Alec, who obviously Frager didn't play with, but is known through the Lincoln basketball scene, and Josiah's been around the program as well. Those two guys, I think, are certainly good candidates, right? I'm not sure Cale Jacobson starts for this team, but as the guy that has been in the program the longest, that's a good spot for him to be in, right? To be confident in his abilities and his ability to lead, for Bowden Kapke to come in, not be scared of the moment and not be hesitant, not be timid, and be ready and willing to embrace being the guy that sets the tone. Wilson wrote a really nice article on Bowden Kapke and his energy. Would direct you to omaha.com to read that. Price Sanford being a vocal leader, certainly a leader in three-point shooting and in scoring. Any leadership he can provide certainly goes a long way. And then that lead guard position, I thought that was interesting to hear Fred Hoiberg say, with Trevin Lenhart and Taj DeGorville taking the vast majority of the reps at the one, or the bulk of the reps at the one at the very least, as guys that need to be vocal in terms of directing traffic. And that communication, quiet gym isn't a good gym necessarily. And Fred Hoiberg wants that to tick up for his group. Probably especially important for Nebraska, relying on as many transfers as it is. And certainly with the defensive scheme that Nebraska runs, that when we talked with Wilson a couple weeks ago now, he mentioned that, hey, that's a big deal for Nebraska, whose defense isn't built on overwhelming teams physically, but being in the right spot at the right time, especially with its rotations, communicating through it. And I would assume that Fred Hoiberg and his staff would argue that the easiest way to learn the system is to communicate through it. The natural thing to do would be to be quiet, focus on yourself, say, hey, I'm still learning this. I just have to make sure I'm in the right spot. But I think coaches would tell you, no, talk through it, right? Get the information out there so people know where you're at, even if it's not 100% right. At least your teammates know where you're at, and someone can recover and someone can make a play. Let's go ahead and hear about some of those players that Fred Hoiberg mentioned. Hadn't gotten a chance to hear from Trevin Lenhart before Monday's press conference. So here's Fred Hoiberg on his new presumptive starting point guard, Trevin Lenhart.
Yeah, he's an elite passer. That's one thing I've really been impressed with Trev, and we saw that, but when you play against, I guess, bigger, more athletic players, how is that going to translate? But I think it was last week, he had a couple week stretch rate of 20-3 assist to turnover ratio. And, I think his team in the scrimmage was 27-7 assist to turnover. So he's really on time, on target, simple plays, gets the ball into the pocket. And when we do that, we have very efficient offense. So I've been really impressed with that. And then defensively, he's doing a great job getting his hands on the basketball, getting deflections. He and Taj, I think, are two of the highest that we've had as far as deflections. And Cale and Jacob has been good in that area as well. But, Trev's, he's always in the right spot. He's a very smart, high IQ player.
Which I think is what Nebraska is really looking for out of its lead guard position. I've jokingly referred to Trevin Lenhart as Mormon Monte, referring to Monte Morris, one of Fred Hoiberg's really good point guards at Iowa State, carved out, obviously, a pretty fantastic long NBA career. Lenhart's a little bigger, a little longer than Monte Morris. Their career stats match up pretty well. Curious to see how Nebraska uses Lenhart. Obviously, the principles are what they are. We know that Nebraska is going to run the system that it's going to run. But does Nebraska have a changeup? Is Nebraska able to run more traditional high pick and roll with Trevin Lenhart at the helm, right? That's a 6'5" lead guard that Fred Hoiberg, as you heard there, says has incredible touch on his passes, knows, on time, on target, knows guys' shooting pockets, is able to get it there with the ball in the right rotation for them to be able to rise and fire pretty quickly. Nebraska, it's been a big topic of conversation on this show, and I'm sure others as well, the need for a true traditional point guard. Not sure if Lenhart is exactly that, but he's probably the closest thing Nebraska's had to it. DeGorval certainly has some playmaking ability as well, averaging a few assists per game at San Diego State, even coming off the bench last year. And so Nebraska's not going to go away from what made it so incredibly successful. It's motion-based offense, all 5 players involved, essentially every possession with, selected and targeted looks for certain guys at certain moments. But I think the Lenhart pick and roll, whether it's with, a ghost screen from Price Sanford, whether it's a pick and pop from Sam Warm or Bowden Cappy, whether it's a pick and roll with Damon Wilkinson or Leo Curtis potentially, Nebraska has seemingly another option, another way to go with its offense when things bog down, to where you're not relying on someone going one-on-one trying to create a tough shot, but instead you can still involve multiple players in an action and trust an upperclassman lead guard to make the right play. And, Nebraska's bigs being good on the roll, Nebraska's bigs and screeners being effective on the pop certainly play into that in terms of the low man having to slide over into the lane, tag the rolling big, a longer closeout for someone if they're playing drop, or giving Lenhart a head of steam if they're trying to get over the top of the screen. I think that provides an interesting wrinkle for Nebraska that it'll certainly look to use at times this year. Sam Warm, also hadn't heard from him throughout the course of the offseason. Fred Hoiberg was asked about the guy that I predict would play a lot of power forward for Nebraska. Here is Fred Hoiberg on Sam Orm, the Belmont transfer.
Again, coming from a great system, and he's playing, he's growing, getting better every week. He shot the heck out of it last week, and I think he hit 5 threes in our scrimmage that we had. So that was good to see. We talked about his pop and his athleticism. I think he's a little sneaky in that regard, and a guy that moves his feet, I think, is a versatile defender. So yeah, we love Sam.
22-second answer there. And again, not trying to read too far into it, but sounds like a guy with maybe some work to do. Maybe not penciling Sam Worm in as a starter right away at this point. Maybe it's way early in the offseason. It's too early to be doing, starting lineups. But when you start that clip the way Fred Hoiberg does, it took him, 7-8 seconds to get to, he's really starting to get comfortable, really starting to shoot the cover off the basketball, sneaky, athletic, versatile defender. I hope for Nebraska's sake that Sam Worm is able to slot right into that rotation. It's a weapon that Nebraska hasn't necessarily had at that specific archetype or that specific position, because Sam Worm is not playing center. He's probably not playing much small forward. He is a 4. He strikes me as a pretty solid 4, a power forward when you think about the positional spectrum. And so if he's able to attack a closeout for a dribble or two and make an easy pass to a cutter, if he's able to pick and pop and knock down, 3 3-pointers a game, if he's able to space the floor in the corners, right, and draw a rangy athletic defender out to the perimeter instead of, defending the rim or reaching hands in for steals, there's a way that Sam Worm is an incredibly valuable player for Nebraska in 2026-27. How does he adjust to the physical nature of the Big Ten? If that's what it is, if he's struggling with the physical nature of what it's like, Nebraska's gotten better at that, but I still wouldn't say Nebraska was one of the more physical teams in the Big Ten, right? And, there are a lot of ways to describe that. I don't think Nebraska was ever intimidated necessarily, but there were times you saw Nebraska get punked, plain and simple. And if that's happening, maybe Nebraska, the rest of the roster is taking a step up in that regard, or maybe it's a sign of things to come. But I think Sam Worm has a really fascinating role to play in how the 26-27 season goes. Let's go ahead and play a couple more from Fred Hoiberg before we get out of here. On adjusting his scheme to fit the personnel. This is something I've talked about a little bit, is that Nebraska hasn't looked exactly the same. Nebraska hasn't recruited carbon copies to make the roster look the exact same and play the exact same way year over year. Here's Fred Hoiberg's take on that, adjusting the scheme to fit the personnel he has.
And you always juggle it, and how much do you put in, especially at this time? Really, what I'm trying to do right now is teach them how to play. We just tip of the iceberg on the system and the different plays and the sets that we run. It's really just trying to teach them how to play and playing out of flow. We've called very few plays to this point. It's almost, let them figure it out, correct it, watch film, and get better from it. So I do like our movement. It is a little bit more random, I would say. Rink was so good at being the trigger man in the trail spot. BK certainly had his moments. in that area as well. But, we've got the 5 a little bit all over the floor right now, as opposed to just coming down in the trail. And, it's going to take a lot more reps than what we get right now. But
Interesting stuff there from Fred Hoiberg. Obviously, a lot of transfers, guys playing in a system they haven't seen before. We've heard from all sorts of different players on the learning curve for transfers into this program. And that's where I think something like the traditional pick and roll that we mentioned with Trevin Lenhart could be a nice organizing principle for Nebraska, whether it's, a late kind of drag screen in transition that Lenhart can work over top of, or DeGore, Voller, Jacobson, maybe Sanford, maybe Frager, et cetera. I think that if guys are struggling to get to the positions that Fred Hoiberg wants them to, he's not going to compromise on that, right? If you're a big man, trail the play, operate from the top of the key, find ways to do your job, secure the rebound, hit your outlet pass. Then especially in transition, follow the play. If you're Kapke and you're a career, 33-ish% 3-point shooter, you got to be able to hustle down the floor, get to your spot, whether it's to take an open look or to direct traffic for the offense. If you're Damon Wilkinson, are you a rim runner? I think that's probably his best utilization. But if you get the rebound and you outlet, once a game, can you trail the play and take a 3-pointer that's essentially a walk up, step in 3-pointer that are typically pretty high value propositions? It's going to be fascinating to see the development of Nebraska's big men as that organizer. And if that is something that one of those bigs, whether it's Kapke, whether it's Wilkinson, or of course, whether it's Leo Curtis with the most experience in the system, having played a little bit last year, can step into that role, or if Nebraska develops into a team and morphs into a team that relies on its guards as its organizing principles. Fred Hoiberg, I'm not trying to compare last year's team to this one too much. I think this is along the similar vein of what he was talking about in the previous clip. So here's Fred Hoiberg on keeping that comparison in its proper place.
Yeah, it's a completely new group, Robin. One thing I do talk about with last year's team is just how we were able to play through tough stretches. That was the thing that really stood out about last year's group. And, some of the guys that were here, even the guys that maybe didn't have a huge role in the rotation, were unbelievable to help us with our team chemistry. So those are some of the things that we will talk about as far as last year's team, but it's a completely new group. It's a new identity. We certainly have our staples that we've done within our system in the program, but it's a whole new group of guys. Obviously Evan Price and Connor and Leo and and Kale and all the guys that were here a year ago, Braden, having those guys back that can talk a little bit about some of the things I think that made last year's group special. But there's a lot of new faces here. So yes, we talk about some of the things I think that made that group what it was. But you got to be a little bit careful in that.
You do absolutely have to be careful. And again, I repeat that Nebraska hasn't done the carbon copy. Nebraska hasn't done the clone of a team year over year. I do think that's interesting that Fred Hoiberg went to essentially adversity management. How do you deal with those tough stretches? For me, that was especially offensively for Nebraska. I would say in the non-conference at times where Nebraska really fell into a rut. But how did Nebraska play through those stretches where the movement wasn't right or the shots weren't falling? I'd say they did it in two ways. Number one is they leaned into defense. When shots weren't falling, Nebraska was able to still be competitive on the defensive end, not allow teams to go on, many extended runs. I mean, Nebraska was one of the best teams in the country at stringing 3 stops together. Nebraska was one of the best teams in the country in terms of kill shots, right? 10-0 runs in the course of a game. Nebraska went on a bunch more than it allowed opponents to go on. And some of that's defense, right? Digging in, not allowing opponents to get easy bucket after easy bucket, not letting offense and the struggles on one end affect defense on the other. But I also think there was an element of spurtability for Nebraska, an explosive element to that offense, where once the ball started going in the hoop, once Nebraska saw one go down, Nebraska could get hot in a hurry. Some of Nebraska's runs were, it's a 10-0 run over 4 minutes where, okay, yeah, Nebraska's going to miss a couple shots in there, but the defense is going to really dig in. An opponent's not going to score from, a U12 to a U8. Nebraska's going to extend a lead that way. There are plenty of times where Nebraska would go on a run where it's, an outlet pass to a transition 3, into a stop, into a transition 3, into a steal, into a dunk, into one more stop, into a back-breaking 3 by whoever it was on the roster. Last year's team could put up 10 points in 4 possessions. That happened with relative frequency. Nebraska didn't allow that to happen very much on the defensive end. And so I think that's a group that Fred Hoiberg has mentioned. It started with the defense, how they were able to dig in and play through some of those tough moments. It wasn't just about, okay, the lid finally came off the basket. It's, hey, can we buy ourselves time? Can we keep a neutral game state as long as possible until the lid comes off the basket, and believing in Nebraska's offensive talent to do that. Let's play a couple more from Fred Hoiberg to wrap up the 4 o'clock hour. Rudy will be along at 5 o'clock, talk some baseball. Come back with us.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built upon hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with room for advancement.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Remember your first Salt Dogs game? Maybe it was a class trip out on the berm, or date night with actual fireworks, or team building that didn't feel like work at all. For 25 seasons, Haymarket Park remains Lincoln's place for firsts like these, the kind that last. Because it's more than a baseball game. It's the joy of being here together. These are the traditions that bring us home. So here's to you, Lincoln. Your local tradition plays on. Get your tickets at saltdogs.com.
At DWE Generations, having a plan matters, especially when it comes to protecting what's most important. They work with individuals, families, and business owners to help make smart financial decisions that support life today and set the foundation for generations. David Darlington, Russell Walton, and Cody Eiler bring decades of experience, and their dedicated team provides follow-through, answering questions, explaining next steps, and staying connected as life evolves. DWE Generations, a generational wealth planning firm. DWE Generations is a marketing name for individuals doing business as representatives of Northwestern Mutual. Visit generations.nm.com or call 402-483-7871 and ask for David, Russell, or Cody.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return or exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $195 per month for 36 months. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1009974, $195 per month lease for 36 months with approved credit, 7,500 miles per year, 10,000 due at signing, no security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 8/31/26.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Rick Heyman here from Sauter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sauterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Dana Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket.
That's right. Welcome back in. Wrapping up hour 2 of Old School, full hour to go. In case you missed it, first segment of the show gave you the new lineup starting next week. Old School no longer from 3 to 6. It'll be 9 to noon starting on Monday. That's right. We're piggybacking early break and then a full afternoon lineup for you, including Adam Carricker, Bach, and the Black Shirt in the pit with Jason Peter and Grant Wistrom, DP one-on-one, and plenty more in the hopper, as always, here 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. I want to give a big thank you to the folks over at Schwezo Construction for their help sponsoring Old School. At Schwezo Construction, safety isn't just a policy, it's a promise. Schwezo is hiring skilled craftsmen, laborers, concrete workers, and steel erectors who value quality work and a team that has your back on and off the job site. Apply today at schwezo.com. 40-plus years strong in business, Schwezo Construction. I want to go to Twitter. I have Max listening in, and he comments, I'm sure it'll work itself out, but it seems like Nebraska has a big rotation. If these transfers are as good as they say and the freshman 4-stars are good enough to play, how many minutes will different guys get? Fred Hoiberg mentioned that, I believe, at his first offseason press conference, and he probably mentioned it again since, mentioned it again at the start of the year and probably throughout the course of the season. Having a bunch of good players is a good problem to have. Nebraska probably found itself more limited toward the middle and end of last year than it would have anticipated going into the year, with the way certain guys were playing and not playing with the injury to Connor Essegian. But I think first and foremost, that backcourt is where the logjam comes, because the starting lineup that I would lay out for you as an example: Lenhart, Sandfort, Frager, Orm, Kapke. Okay, that hinges a lot on Braden Frager being a legitimate, wing defender, being able to guard opposing backcourts and some opposing wings as well, not just off the ball, but on the ball. It hinges on Price Sandfort being able to navigate screens against guys that are shorter than him, maybe more traditionally athletic with more burst than him. It hinges on Trevin Lenhart being able to guard positionally as well. Depends on Sam Orm being a good enough rebounder and positional defender, and Kapke winning the job, certainly. But let's say Frager is best suited as a 3-4 as opposed to a 2 or 3. Well, okay, then he's more battling with Sam Orm for minutes, and that slides Price Sandfort back down to the small forward position. Then you're playing another guard. Who is that other guard besides Trevin Lenhart? Is it Taj DeGorval? Well, it sounds like if he's running a lot of the point, running a lot of one, maybe it's a give and take between Lenhart and DeGorval. Probably not in a true platoon situation, because I think those guys can certainly coexist in lineups together, and I'm sure they will. But when does Lenhart rest? That was like a 34-minute per game guy last year. Price Sandfort was 35. Those guys are hard to take off the floor. At least they were last year. Cale Jacobson has certainly worked his way and earned his way into the good graces of not just Husker fans, but the Husker coaching staff, and absolutely deservedly so. Multi-positional type of guy, can run the point, can handle the ball, can shoot the ball from the perimeter, crafty, cagey driver, potentially you might say as well. Cale Jacobson did a lot of good things. Is he best served as your 6th man, your 7th man, or your 8th man, or your 9th man? This staff kept Connor Essegian around post-injury. They seem to like something with him. His ability to shoot the basketball will always come up. His ability to take the cover off. His ability to be a microwave scorer. That goes a long way for a Nebraska team whose offense did get bogged down at times last year. It's another option to turn to. Jacob Lanier has gotten rave reviews throughout the course of the offseason. You heard Fred Hoiberg mention that it was Lenhart, DeGorval, Jacobson, and Lanier up near the top in terms of deflections defensively. So does he crack the rotation, especially now that 5 years of eligibility is upon us in college basketball? There's that. Then the big man rotation, right? Are you playing Kapke and Wilkinson together in some lineups? Are you playing Kapke and Curtis? Are you playing Wilkinson and Curtis together? That one, I think, less so, but let's see how Leo Curtis has come along shooting the basketball. What his feel for the game is with the second year in college, right? Does Nebraska, when Damon Wilkinson's in the game, want him to be paired up with Sam Orm? as more of a floor stretcher so Wilkinson can go to work in the post? Can Nebraska use Jacobson or DeGorval or maybe in that dunker spot opposite of Wilkinson on the post up to still draw some eyes and attention? Nebraska has so many fascinating lineup conversations and combinations it can turn to. And as we get closer to the season, as we hear more and we learn more, certainly we'll give you some options and we'll go over some of what Nebraska could do. But like always, it'll end up getting whittled down. I don't think Nebraska come March will be playing more than 8 guys. If they're playing 9, that's a luxury. And sometimes that's even too many guys. And in some cases, your identity, it's hard when your identity is depth. You have to figure out what your best lineup is and then how you augment, how you amplify that lineup in a lot of cases. And it's good to have a bunch of viable options. All the best programs do. And I think Nebraska has certainly worked its way past respectability to respect it. I think teams know what they're in for when they play Nebraska. But I think Nebraska does need to find its go-to closing lineup. And sure, that might be different from game to game, but what Nebraska hangs its hat on will naturally lead some guys to a bigger role and to a reduced role, depending on what it is Nebraska settles on as its identity and who it wants to be as a team. With that, let's go ahead and go to break. Plenty more to talk about as we continue the final hour of Old School. We'll have Rudy hop in. Full hour of Old School left to go here on a Friday. Come back with us.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
At DWE Generations, having a plan matters, especially when it comes to protecting what's most important. They work with individuals, families, and business owners to help make smart financial decisions that support life today and set the foundation for generations. David Darlington, Russell Walton, and Cody Eiler bring decades of experience, and their dedicated team provides follow-through, answering questions, explaining next steps, and staying connected as life evolves. DWE Generations, a generational wealth planning firm. DWE Generations is a marketing name for individuals doing business as representatives of Northwestern Mutual. Visit generations.nm.com or call 402-483-7871 and ask for David, Russell, or Cody.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Remember your first Salt Dogs game? Maybe it was a class trip out on the berm, or date night with actual fireworks, or team building that didn't feel like work at all. For 25 seasons, Haymarket Park remains Lincoln's place for firsts like these, the kind that last. Because it's more than a baseball game. It's the joy of being here together. These are the traditions that bring us home. So here's to you, Lincoln, where local tradition plays on. Get your tickets at saltdogs.com.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Right here in Lincoln, young people are waiting for someone like you. At Big Brothers Big Sisters, mentoring happens out in the community. Grabbing ice cream, shooting hoops, playing music, or just hanging out and talking. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up, spending time, and building a positive, consistent connection with a young person. Just a few hours each month can make a lasting impact. Be big. Start something life-changing today. Learn more at bbbsmidlands.org.
Iconic summer moments deserve an iconic drink. Reach for Mountain Dew, an American original. From its beginnings in the foothills of Tennessee to your biggest summer yet. The refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew is the perfect companion to your American summer adventures. Enjoy the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Tasting great since '48. Look for Mountain Dew in stores near you at mountaindew.com. That's mountaindew.com.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln. This is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score. Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln. Your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome in. Final hour of the show for the week. 402-464-5685 if you want to be a part of the proceedings. Austin Orman, Rudy Gress along for the ride. Would love to have you. As always, again, thanks to Graham Tire for their sponsorship of the show. They got 4 Lincoln locations. They're celebrating 75 years of serving their neighbors throughout the Midwest. To say thank you, they're giving you a $75 instant rebate on a set of 4 select tires. That was last week. Their anniversary sale event is over, but they are still celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. More than just tires, they do all kinds of car and light truck repairs too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. It's Graham Tire getting you to the places that matter most. They do great work. Taking my car in for a couple oil changes with them since the new year. It's quick, it's easy, it's convenient, it's in and out. Lincoln locations. Make sure you're checking out. Speaking of checking in on, Rudy, Major League Baseball trade deadline is, let's do some math here. So it's a 6 o'clock Eastern, I believe, deadline on Monday, which gives teams 3 days to get to wheeling and get to dealing. The biggest domino out there on the market is Tarek Skubal from the Detroit Tigers. What do you think happened with Tarek Skubal? What would you like to see happen with Tarek Skubal?
Yeah, I think what I probably think is going to happen is what I think a majority of the online sources probably think is going to happen is that he will end up in Los Angeles. I think they
the
have
Angels, huh?
Oh.
kidding.
Actually, California in general. He's going to Oakland, but
There
no,
we go.
I mean, they're not even in Oakland.
No, they're not there anymore.
Wow,
Giants stealth player
somewhere, yeah. But no, I think the Dodgers probably make the most sense in terms of they're going to give you probably the better haul. I think they have a top 5. I want to say 3, but definitely top 5 farm system in all of baseball, as well as just bench guys that are kind of, I mean, we see it from a lot of these moves they make. Miguel Vargas is one of those names that stands out, the guys that they move around and they end up panning out either way on another team. And it's unfortunate that they are able to have so much talent on one team. And it's sad to see because I'm a Blue Jays fan. But, I mean, it'll make sense if he goes there. Yeah, we did. Went all the way down to the last out and we just did nothing, but all good. But, yeah, I think he'll probably end up there. I think it makes the most sense for both teams. I think the Dodgers are obviously always looking for ways to get better. I can't fault them for that. And then if you're the Tigers, you want realistically the best haul you can get. And I think the Dodgers probably will overpay for it as they've been doing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but that's where I think he'll go. I also saw the Braves are in the mix for that. I'm not too sure. I mean, that him and Chris Sale would be an interesting 1-2 right there. Would be awesome to see, but
a couple of high octane lefties.
Yeah, that would be insane. I hated facing lefties in general. Just they're able to whip the ball around so much.
Wait, you a righty
quicker.
or a lefty?
I'm a righty. So
And you hated facing lefties?
Yeah, I was way better facing righties for some
Whoa,
reason.
reverse
Yeah.
platoon splits over there.
I think it's because I hated pulling the ball. So like everything all my coaches taught me was like stay on it, go the opposite field, work from there. I could pull a baseball for sure, but it was like most of my approach was away. So it's like, okay, I loved hitting sliders and fastballs down. It was so fun. But yeah, I think he's going to be a Dodger. It'll be interesting to see what they're doing because they've been on an interesting little, not run, but they're up and down. Maybe they move him, maybe they don't. But he'll probably end up in Los Angeles and we'll be complaining about it at some point.
Well, Rudy, you know that right-handed bats are at a premium on the market right now. Make your pitch to an MLB team. Why should they sign Rudy Gress IV to come in at the deadline?
I will say one thing. I think if the Blue Jays are looking for a right-handed first baseman, and I promise you we are because they have their first baseman with 5 home runs. I'm only 4 behind him in my career totals. I only hit 1 in college, but that's more than Vlad has at home right now. So
you hit more home runs in college than he did.
I did. Yeah, I got more hits than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in college. So if anyone in the Blue Jays organization is listening, I'm available. I'll have to talk to DP about taking some leave, but I'll make it happen. I don't strike out and I can get walked a lot. And you throw a pinch runner out there, you got a guy on first every time. I'm locked in.
You can be the Josh Willingham of the Toronto Blue Jays.
I'd be killing it.
You would be indeed. We would miss you, but as long as you would promise to return to us in the offseason.
Yes, I would give all the ticket shout outs in the world.
That's my man. And all the tickets in the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you're getting us up to after the Rogers Center, right? That's the spirit. We won't ask for the debut tickets, right? Those can go to family. We get it. But after that, we're there.
Yep.
Back to school after that, the sidebar. The rotation for the Dodgers right now in terms of guys that have made looks like 8 or more starts. So you have Yamamoto at the top of the rotation, Justin Robleski, Roki Sasaki, Emmett Sheehan, Otani, not on the shelf, but kind of on the shelf, taking a step back from pitching. Eric Lauer has made 8 starts. You also have Tyler Glasnow, but he's on the 60-day IL. And so if you're the Dodgers, I mean, that was one of the things last year was just the depth of arms that they had, right? They were just churning through different guys in that rotation. The price for Skubal is obviously going to be high, except that he's a rental. And this, to me, is why if you ask me what I would like to see happen with Tarek Skubal, I would like to see Detroit keep him and not trade him. I would like for Detroit to be underwhelmed by the return for a rental so that, quote-unquote, all Detroit gets as a fan from another AL Central team is the comp pick. Because they'll offer him the qualifying offer. Like why wouldn't they? He's going to decline it. He's going to go get a big contract in free agency, but at least you get a draft pick out of it. I think the Dodgers, like you said, are most likely. They have the farm system. They have the money. They would absolutely extend him. I mean, especially with Glasnow being 32, as injured as he's been. I mean, a 2.7 ERA in 7 games, 39 innings pitched, 49 strikeouts in those 39 innings is pretty darn good, effective when he was out there. But, he's been made of glass, maybe made of paper, however it is you want to describe it. Skubal, of course, had that, loose bodies surgery in his throwing elbow. Then he came back from crazy quick. Like people weren't expecting him to pitch by the All-Star break, and he's, barely missed a turn through the rotation. It felt like what I think might be more interesting for baseball is if you see the Brewers or the Rays go get him. I mean, Atlanta is obviously, always in need of pitching with, Schwellenbach's been on the shelf for them for a while dealing with stuff. Haven't heard much from Spencer Strider, et cetera, through the rest of their rotation. So I'm not mad if he goes to Atlanta, but Milwaukee has signaled today that they're willing to eat the money on his contract. Obviously, they would have to give up some pretty talented prospects, maybe one of the ones that they've extended that hasn't made the major league debut yet. They've done that a couple times. Or Tampa. Rudy, what would you say if Milwaukee or Tampa end up landing Tarek Skubal over the Dodgers or the Braves?
I would prefer out of those two. I think the best fit would probably be Milwaukee just because they are a team that, they were in the NLCS last year. Obviously, they got Otani'd, but like that's a team that I think you add one more, you pair him up with Mizorowski over there. Like that is an insane 1-2 combo again. Yeah. Those are going to be guys who give you your best chance to win anytime. So I think in terms of the NL, it's going to run through realistically the Dodgers. The Brewers are always a team that are up there. So I think maybe getting over that hump, every team's probably a Skubal away, but especially the Brewers, they have the offensive system they've built there. It's one that you probably don't want to tweak with too much. It's the small ball. It works. But small ball, you kind of want to limit as much runs as possible. When you get a guy like Tariq Skubal up there, you're going to be limiting runs. So, I think in terms of that, I'd probably prefer him there just because I think they could probably do more with him. I think the Rays are obviously talented. They're a top team in the AL East for a reason, but I can't see them running too deep in the postseason. And I think for what the Rays are trying to build right now, I think they'd be giving up a lot of their future for like that, a 1-year rental. So I think the Brewers would probably be a better fit. I think it'd be exciting to see him there again, like pairing him with Mizorowski. That'd be very scary for the rest of the league. But
Can you
especially the
name
NL
3
Central.
starting pitchers for the Rays?
I absolutely cannot. Do they still have? Oh my God, there's a name I'm blanking on right now. No, I'm thinking of a relief pitcher they have now. I can't. I really realistically cannot name their starting pitchers.
Okay, the guys with double-digit starts. They
Okay.
have 3 guys that have made 20 starts, a guy with 17, a guy with 10.
Okay.
Nick Martinez,
Yep.
Drew Rasmussen, Shane McClanahan,
Nice.
Griffin Jacks, and Steven Matz. 35-year-old Steven Matz has made 10 starts for this team. Now, granted, it's with a 6.07 ERA. And Tampa, of course, has been one of those teams that's pioneered the opener in some ways. But I love the idea of him ending up in Tampa again, probably for a decent prospect return. But the Rays, as a fan of an AL East team, scrappy, lower value market, smaller market kind of team that doesn't necessarily make that all-in push. You can pair Junior Caminero in that lineup with Tarek Skubal, alongside a resurgent Nick Martinez there at the top of that rotation. Tampa's made its fair share of World Series. At least a couple of them. Obviously haven't won one to this point. I mean, that's a Blake Snell replacement. I know he's been gone for a while. Obviously, that was a trade with the Dodgers as well. But, man, you can land Skubal with the way that offense is playing, kind of going against the trends of baseball. I'm intrigued by that. My buddy, one of my buddies who lives in Wisconsin is a Brewers fan. Also a Kentucky basketball fan and a Bears fan somehow.
Nice.
Don't ask me how he got to that, but he made an interesting point in that, okay, you could do the Skubal trade and you're essentially hoping it's CC Sabathia 2.0. I mean, that 2008 run that CC Sabathia had, stuff of legends by the time he came over from Cleveland to Milwaukee. But I wouldn't be mad if Milwaukee added a bat because you've seen their top guys, whether it's Woodruff or Peralta, even Corbin Burns in years past, facing the lead offense. And it's hard to go against that in the playoffs. Yeah, we know that starting pitching controls the game, and the Brewers have had some of the best starting pitching in baseball for a while. But the year that they made it closest to the World Series in 2018 is when they traded for guess who? Mike Moustakas at the deadline, right? And added some offense. I'm not sure how seriously I take Milwaukee, right? They're always in it. And sure, the more you're in it, the more likely you are to make it further. Skubal would help. I mean, he's going to help any team. I might look for offense if I'm Milwaukee.
Okay, who are some offensive names that stand out to you? Because I feel like a lot of the trade deadline talks are pitchers for the most part. Like even just pertaining to teams I follow, like the Blue Jays. I know Gosman's out there, but I think Shea Langoliers would have been a good name to maybe throw out there. But I know he's I think he's getting some surgery done now too. So who are kind of like the remaining top bats that are out there on the deadline?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question because there's really not many. It's a pitching dominated trade deadline. Trying to look here through some of these names. On the Royals end of things, I would say a guy like Lane Thomas is on the market. I think there's a world where Vinny Pasquantino was on the market. Maybe that's an off-season deal instead, but he's back on the injured list. Same sort of thing for like a Nick Lofton or Maikel Garcia from the Royals end of things. How about this, though? Some teams are looking for catching. We saw, who was it? The Rangers, I think it was, swing a deal for Logan O'Hoppe in a reliever just for a borderline top 30 kind of prospect. The Orioles, Jake Rogers got DFA'd by Detroit. They trade a low-level reliever for him. But the interesting name, I think, would be Adley Rutschman, a guy that was, supposed to be a superstar coming out of college, started his career off like gangbusters, has been okay to decent to good, but not overwhelming, and seems to have gotten surpassed in that Baltimore lineup by the young Sam Basallo. And so if Adley Rutschman, a former number 1 overall pick, and not even the best player in that draft, but that's a story for another day, is available with Langoliers' injury, like you mentioned, Adley Rutschman might be, a top 3 bat on the market, and he's just 4 years removed from being a number 1 overall pick. 5 years? 4 years?
Yeah.
Not long.
Yeah, I agree. I think, too, even if you're able to put him, like, towards the bottom of the lineup, which I think a guy, like, the way his bat's kind of been going is probably going to be ideally the outlook, but switch hitter still gives you both sides of the plate to look at. Defensively is not anything that you're going to have to worry about. I know his defense is kind of not slowed down either, but just there's been teams who have gotten better jumps on him now as time's gone on. But I think he's still solidified. He's still able to hold his own. I wouldn't hate that. I think a name, too, I was looking up over here. Luis Arias is up there. I know that's a guy for me that I'm just a fan of. That's a guy I modeled my game after just in talks there. But I think he's a bat that would probably fit even more so with the Brewers and how they've been playing like that. The guys get on base, you bunt him over. Now you got to Luis Arias poke a single to the outfield. Like, I think he's a name that he'll probably get dealt realistically, but I think he's a guy that needs to go to a team that has a good fit to where we value singles, and I think a team that can do that is going to be the Milwaukee Brewers. Like that, he rarely strikes out. Good bat to ball skills. I think he could fit into that system, but yeah, I mean, you still got to get some power in there, and I think he's one of 3 guys that don't have a home run at home, and one of those 3 guys is also Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Just so you know.
Well, that whole power thing is an interesting discussion because you saw Arias really turn up the power in the World Baseball Classic. It's in there, and now I forget who those home runs came against, and I would guess there's better competition in Major League Baseball than there is in the World Baseball Classic. But you think about him, I think the ultimate example of that is a guy like Ichiro, right? Who had all the power in the world in BP, didn't necessarily put it to use and carved out a heck of a successful career in Major League Baseball. But you mentioned Arias. He's actually the first position player mentioned in, I believe this is Jeff Passan's breakdown or David Schoenfield, who was talking with Jeff Passan as well. He's the first position player mentioned because the top guy, obviously, Skubal, who Schoenfield has going to Atlanta. The Angels trading Reed Detmers to the Dodgers. The Mets trading Freddie Peralta back to the Brewers. Where he really broke out. Toronto trading Kevin Gossman to Philly. Of all places, Philly, I think, could be a Lane Thomas player. If they want him, maybe a Kyle Isbell fourth outfield kind of type. Then you get to Luis Arias. You get Liam Hicks to the Yankees, playing a lot of DH for the Marlins right now. He's a catcher. But then the rest of the top 10, Clay Holmes from the Mets to the Cubs. Seems like he's healthy and back where he's wanted to be. The next best hitter, the 8th next best move that Schoenfield at ESPN throws out there. How about this? Gleyber Torres. One time, uber prospect who really struggled, has had a little bit of a resurgence there in Detroit and has free agency coming up at the end of the season. Dalton Varsho from the Blue Jays to the Diamondbacks is a trade that's being floated out there by ESPN as well. I would say Zach Neto, shortstop for the Angels. There's been some interest in him, especially from potentially the Red Sox, who traded Connolly early for Curtis Mead, who in his first game got plunked on the hand. There's a lot of pitching out there, Rudy, not a whole lot of hitting available.
Yeah, I agree. I think a name, too, that I'm, again, just researching some names here. C.J. Abrams got brought up. I think of him. I like what they're kind of building there. But, yeah, I mean.
Okay, who brings back more, Abrams or Wood?
I think Wood. I think James Wood probably brings back more. Just the power's there for him. He has good contact skills. He's still young. I mean, they're both young. But I think he's consistently shown over the last 2 or so seasons that this will probably be his kind of outlook as the power guy, the big lefty. And I think teams kind of are going to sway that way a little more. I still think C.J. Abrams is great, but I think a lot more teams are starting to get into the idea of that they're going to build around shortstops a little sooner than later. So I don't think too many top-tier teams are going to be going after shortstops. I mean, some of the best teams in the league already have that position filled out, I would say. But, I mean, they're still going to be – I think either one would bring back a hefty haul. But I think they'd still be crazy to kind of move off of both of those guys, especially – considering how they got them in a trade package the same way. I mean, for Soto in general, but I like what they're building there. I just think they need to build some more. I just think that'd be the wrong guy to move. I'm not going to lie, but he would be an elite bat that teams would be paying a considerable price for sure. But
it's interesting though, because both those guys, I believe, came over in the Juan Soto trade.
Yep. Them. And I think they also had Mackenzie Gore in that deal too.
That's right.
Yeah. Crazy. Then that was for a 1-year rental too. That didn't pan out too much for the Padres, but I think Dalton Varsho is an interesting name. I was talking about this yesterday. I think when he's on, he is a not top center fielder in baseball, but defensively he's up there. He's one of the more elite defensive center fielders. Hitting wise, when he's able to do what he's able to do, he'll get you 15 to 20 bombs a year with elite defense. He's kind of like and it's interesting enough, he plays in Toronto, like Kevin Pillar, but just a little more offense. I like his scheme, but I know he came up as a catcher with the Diamondbacks. Maybe you try to move him back there. I don't know if that's even in the realm of possibilities, but I think he's a good Gold Glove defensive guy. You'd be able to get a decent haul for him if you're the Blue Jays. Nothing world breaking or anything, but like some mid-tier prospects just to hope. But yeah, it's a pretty not lackluster, but there's not too many big names that jump off the page in terms of offensive guys. But you could like that. You find the right fit for these guys, you're in a good spot. It just depends. Otto Lopez is a name that's getting up there too. I like him. He's having
there's a name.
Yeah, he's having. I think he leads the MLB in all of average right now, at least in the National League. And Yordan Alvarez is coming for that too. But we'll see. But yeah, no, I think that'd be a good name to maybe throw out there, but it's really going to depend on what these teams want to do. Like for the Marlins, for example, you're not really competing for anything anytime soon, but Otto Lopez is one of your few bright spots. That's always why the trade deadline's so fun to me because, yeah, you have these guys who, the Marlins, for example, like, okay, we're not doing much. This guy's doing great. And then your instant thoughts just to sell him and try to build more around him. And it's always interesting how the MLB trade deadline works for me.
Let's go ahead and go to break. When we get back, Rudy, I want your 3 moves that you most want to see the Blue Jays pull off before the trade deadline on Monday. I'll cook up 3 for the Royals as well. We'll be back, talk some more baseball. And Dan from Canopy, don't worry. We see your text about the Royals. We are going to bury that as late into the show as possible because it made me sad. But we'll talk some more Major League Baseball trade deadline when we get back to Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Right here in Lincoln, young people are waiting for someone like you. At Big Brothers Big Sisters, mentoring happens out in the community. Grabbing ice cream, shooting hoops, playing music, or just hanging out and talking. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up, spending time, and building a positive, consistent connection with a young person. Just a few hours each month can make a lasting impact. Be big. Start something life-changing today. Learn more at bbbsmidlands.org.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Hey everyone, it's Brie Marie. Join me and James Rowland every Sunday night at 7 p.m. from April through August for the Finish Line. We'll do laps around the headlines in dirt track racing, let the rubber meet the road for NASCAR news, and talk with special guests, including your favorite local drivers and racing personalities. That's the Finish Line, Sunday at 7 p.m. all summer long on 93.7 The Ticket.
We're not living in some perfect TV land, the kind where the sun's always shining and life's what-ifs just don't exist. Here in Nebraska, we live in reality. We have unpredictable weather and risky moments that mean you need insurance protection you can trust. At Battle Creek Insurance Company, we protect you with flexible policies for home, auto, farm, and multi-peril crop insurance. Hometown service for all of life's what-ifs. Contact your local independent agent and ask about Battle Creek Insurance. Better together.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Need service on your home air conditioner? Call the company Lincoln has counted on since 1952, Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. No matter what brand you have, when you need service, you want Bryant's experienced pros working for you. Friendly, NATE certified technicians with the tools, training, and technology to restore your comfort quickly. No matter what brand, when you need service, just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? By placing your bets at Warhorse Sportsbook. Their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Iconic summer moments deserve an iconic drink. Reach for Mountain Dew, an American original. From its beginnings in the foothills of Tennessee to your biggest summer yet. The refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew is the perfect companion to your American summer adventures. Enjoy the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Tasting great since '48. Look for Mountain Dew in stores near you at mountaindew.com. That's mountaindew.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Right, welcome back in to Old School, brought to you by the good folks over at Graham Tire Company. I'm Austin. He's Rudy. Rudy, as the guest on Old School, we will go ahead and give you the first word here. 3 moves that you want the Blue Jays to make. We'll ping pong back and forth. So take them in whatever order you would like. But one of your 3 moves you would like the Blue Jays to make before we hit the Major League Baseball trading deadline in just under 3 days.
I think we really need to move Kevin Gausman. Not because like that's where you kind of run into the trade deadline. The talks is like he's having a good season. He's been a strong guy for us over the last couple of seasons. I think he's in his 4th, 5th year now, which is just crazy to think about how fast that time's gone by. But I think you got to move him. He's a guy that teams are going to be needing. Again, the Phillies, I think, are the team that they linked him to in that article you were talking about, which is good because that's exactly what the Phillies need. I think you can get a decent amount, maybe not a top 50 prospect, but if you can get a top 100 prospect somewhere in that higher range, you'd be fine. Getting some younger talent back is always a good thing. The Blue Jays used to, when I was growing up, always had a decent farm system. Now they're kind of in the bottom of the barrel there. So hopefully you can rebuild that because, again, you've lost a lot of pieces ever since that World Series loss. Hopefully we're able to get Bo Bichette back in the offseason, but we'll see what happens. I think that's going to be our most probable trade. I think if one deal were to happen, and only one deal, it's probably going to be Gausman. Decent market around him, nothing too high that we're going to be asking, and I think a lot of teams could use a pitcher like him. If he's in the right system, you put some good offense around him, like the Phillies have, you should be fine. So hopefully we move Gausman. That is my first move that does need to happen just so we can at least get something out of this trade deadline.
I'll go with the starting pitcher move for the Royals as well, and it's Michael Wacha. A guy that was an all-star for the 2nd time in his career. The first time he was an all-star was back in his 3rd season back in 2015. Went over a decade between all-star appearances, being named one here in 2026. Been a rock-solid addition to that Kansas City rotation in 2.5 years, essentially, in Kansas City, but of 8.3 wins above replacement. Now, the win-loss record is only .500, ERA at 3.61. But he's pitched pretty true to that with only a 3.77 fielding independent pitching. You know what Michael Wacha is. You know what Michael Wacha is going to give you. And the reason that I would like to see the Royals trade Michael Wacha is because it would tell me that this front office might have finally turned a new leaf. The Royals are so reticent, so hesitant to trade guys with multiple years of team control. It's not what they like to do. And they did just extend Wacha in the offseason. But so this is the first year of the extension. He's making $18 million this year, $14 million next year for his age 36 season, then a club option for $14 million. So you would hand the club option over to the team that's acquiring Michael Wacha. So if he continues to be Mr. Consistent like he's been in Kansas City, hey, $14 million for a guy that can pitch like a number 2, probably best as a number 3, and a probably overqualified number 4. Yeah. Certainly an innings eater. In the course of the regular season, has some postseason experience, I believe, through his time with St. Louis, and then with the Royals in 2024 as well. So he's been there, not going to be necessarily scared of that stage. Now, he's not an ace. He's not Scooble, hasn't had the results that Gausman's had even in his career, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll get into the other Royals moves. But I think, to me, the Royals missed the boat on trading Seth Lugo when he would have been a rental last year. They hold on to him. Well, he has the back injury. Then he has the blisters, and he's been up and down. He's been on the injured list, off the injured list. They missed the boat. And I don't know if that's because they truly didn't get an offer with requisite value, or if they set the price too high because they valued this guy. And it's weird to trade a guy right after you extend him, right? This isn't the NBA where it's a sign and trade. That we don't see that necessarily in baseball. And so Michael Wacha, bought a house in Kansas City. He isn't just living out of a suitcase. He likes it. He's mentioned that from time to time. Liked enough to sign the first time, then to re-sign, had a big resurgence with Kansas City from where he was in the middle of his career. But he's not the type of guy the Royals have looked to move. His value probably will never be higher. And yeah, he's going to help you win games this year. But you're the second worst team in the American League. Battling for the worst team. If you can lose with him, you're under 500 in his starts even. You can lose without him as well. And I think what the Royals could get back from Michael Wacha might be more valuable for 3 years than what Michael Wacha can give them over the course of the next 2.
Yeah, I like that too, especially the last part like that. When you move guys who, even like that, Michael Wacha being one of your brighter spots out of your starting rotation, it's what is this team going to look like? Because you're still got to build around Bobby Wood at the end of the day. That is the hope and the goal. And yeah, I mean, you're looking down the line here. Michael Wacha, as good as he is being, you're still not winning games. So yeah, I can agree with that move. I think me and Wyman have talked about that too. That's one that he wants to see too. So I completely agree there. The pitching is it's easier to move these pitchers too. And that leads me into my second pick here. Dalton Varsho. I think if you can get a good haul for him, again, I'm not expecting us to get a top tier talent, but if you can get some talent that maybe will be ready in, again, 2 to 3 years for them, I like it because he's good. But the way things are kind of going, the team that's just so injured, the Blue Jays aren't doing anything this year. We're not going on a push. And yes, there's some realm of possibility now that Buxton's hurt that maybe they sneak into that last wild card spot, but completely doubt it. I think you'd be fine without him. Same thing that you're kind of saying. If we can lose with him, without him, we're probably still going to be losing just as much. And I think they're going a different direction. They're going to try to hopefully sign more big deal guys over the offseason is the hope. They're always in these talks, and we never get anybody. So maybe that changes this year. But I think
got Dylan Cease.
Yeah, we did. And that is one of our few bright spots. Him and Okamoto, I'm very happy those panned out. We also signed Cody Ponce, and he gets hurt in his first start of the season. So it's just been
ridiculous.
It's been an interesting year for the Blue Jays. But yeah, I think moving Varsho would suck from a fan's perspective. He's bought into being a Blue Jay. He had a great season last year, helped in that postseason run. But if you can maximize something, the value for him, I think we get him back to Arizona would be pretty good for him, pretty cool to see. But I think he's one that's got to go if we're going to move another position guy, just because open it up out there. We have some young outfield prospects that are going to be coming up in the next couple of years. So it makes sense, but I would not be thrilled to see him go, but it would make a lot of sense.
Number 2 for me is a little more nebulous, but walk with me through it here. Number 2 for me is figure out the core. Figure out who your guys are and are not. All the reports out of Kansas City have been rentals. Those are the guys that Kansas City's going to flip. That's fine, right? But that's normal. That's not going above and beyond. It's not making, quote unquote, the trade that hurts.
Yeah.
I get that the Royals believe in their guys. And JJ Picola came up under Dayton Moore, who, thought that the best way to love your players was to keep them around, right? That's not always the best way to love the fans. If the product on the field isn't improving, to hope for the future. And so I want the Royals to figure out over the course of the next 3 days who is legitimately a piece of the long-term plans and rank them in order if you have to. Clearly, number 1 is Bobby Wood Jr., most proven, just entering his prime age 27 season next year. Who's number 2 on that value list? Is it your number 6 pick from 2 years ago, Jack Caglione? Is it your homegrown catcher in Carter Jensen? Both guys have had their time on the roller coaster this year. Caglione had a big homer yesterday, ended up not mattering. Jensen, had the Royals record or tied it at least for a hit streak by a rookie, right? He was hot for a while. They're still young, are those building blocks? But then you get to guys like Maikel Garcia, who had a breakout year, all-star year last year, still one of the most valuable defensive third basemen in Major League Baseball. Not a traditional looking third baseman in terms of the offensive profile, not a bunch of pop, but for as good as he is for the Royals at third base, is he more valuable to someone else as a shortstop?
Yeah.
Michael Massey, do you want to bet on him as being part of your core? Do you trust the back? That's always iffy, especially when he's playing on the dirt consistently. They tried him in left field. They scrapped that experiment. Really, when Jonathan India went down with the shoulder injury, Vinny Pasquantino, great locker room guy, great presence, has had his moments. Also has never really had the breakout, the year, right? He's 28 or 29. You probably know what he is at this point. Is it worth trading one of Bobby Wood Jr.'s best friends, housemate, roommate in some cases, especially, on the road in spring training? Or is it, hey, sorry, it's a business. We know that you love this guy. We know what you bring in terms of leadership, but you're blocking Jack Caglione from playing his best position.
Yeah.
And, the same thing I think would go to the rotation, but I think there are fewer core pieces there. I mean, pretty much the entire rotation's hurt at this point, but the Royals need to get clarity, and they need to understand that there are multiple ways to love your players, and it's not always keeping them around. There are multiple ways to love your fans, and it's not always just, oh, well, they bought the jersey, so we have to keep the guy around. Get your priorities straight. I thought the Royals were on the right path with that, but they still haven't traded anyone with multiple years of control when you typically get a better return in terms of prospects or even major league ready talent, if that's what the Royals are going after. So priority number 2 for me, it might honestly be, big picture priority number 1 is figure out the core. You don't be afraid to make a bold move that you haven't before.
Yeah, I like that too, especially because you brought up like a bunch of different angles into what goes into these trades. And I think one that, as a Blue Jays fan, as a baseball fan, is when you trade some of these guys like that. If you're going to move Pasquantino and that affects the Bobby Witt connection there, like that's something that I wish some other teams probably did take into consideration. Because I'm just looking at the Blue Jays here. You trade away Teoscar Hernandez, Lourdes Gurriel, Bo Bichette ends up walking away, and it's like Kevin Biggio too. I know he obviously wasn't much for us, wasn't much for y'all, but Kevin Biggio is one of those guys too. Like they all came up together, they're all gone now, and it's like that team has no identity, and that is the part you're kind of risking with these deals is you're going to be moving guys who have been here in Kansas City for a while, and that can be on one hand good thing, you get the return you need, but then it's like, what does that do for the morale in the locker room? And I think those are good questions that I would hope they take into consideration, but sometimes it doesn't seem like many teams really do that sometimes. So that's always interesting. But now I'm moving into this is what Rudy wants out of the Blue Jays to kick out of here. We got to get Trevor Hoffman out this team. You got to whatever it takes. Jeff Hoffman. I apologize. Jeff Hoffman. You got to get Jeff Hoffman off this team. Ever since November 1st, that is the guy that had to leave this team. He gave up the home run to give the Dodgers the lead. You get him out of here. He's having a horrible year. You're going to have to package him. You're going to have to put him with some other guys. Maybe you even move off of. It's going to be a hefty contract. I don't know if people even care for him anymore. But George Springer, throw him together. There's your DH. Yeah. He's having a lackluster year. But I'd be fine moving off of those guys, even just for some bullpen pieces. If they're not top-tier bullpen pieces, you got to figure out how to stop the bleeding. Hoffman can't do that. Zach Little was another guy at the beginning of the year that just didn't want to win a game for the Blue Jays, it seems. So I think whatever you can do to kind of get against you want to make some of these moves like the Gausman, the Varsho ones where it makes sense to get a good return, but you also got to just weed out the guys that probably aren't helping the team, and those are the guys that are helping the losses. And I think getting rid of Hoffman would be one of your biggest things. And as a Blue Jays fan, it would show me that, okay, these guys do have a shorter leash, hopefully, but the way that the ownership's going up there, I'm not too thrilled right now. But that is one that would make me happy just to see, like, okay, they see the problems too. They're disappointed just as much as we are. But do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, but it needs to.
Why won't it happen?
I think for one, outside of the Blue Jays are going to be interesting with the trade they make. I just think that not many teams are going to be interested in getting Hoffman up there. Just simply, I'm sure some team would. It wouldn't make a bad deal. He's not a bad pitcher per se. He's having a bad year. And I think the World Series loss might have got to him more than people think because he is who we associate with giving up those home runs to Miguel Rojas and Will Smith and all that stuff. I mean, we had 2 strikes, 2 outs, same thing that the Royals experienced last night. I'm sorry, but
it's totally the same magnitude of game, too.
Same thing. But, I mean, like that, you're down to the last out of the game. Yeah. Obviously, it's the World Series, and you give it right up. So, I think that probably messes with them. But I think just there's not too much buzz around him, not too much interest, I would say. It's just it'd be not harder to move. But, like I said, you're going to have to package him with that, and then we'll see what a package could look like. But, I mean, he could help out a team if he's not the main guy. I think is the problem. He just needs to get that confidence back. You throw him in a better bullpen, even if you pair him up in San Diego, get him over there with Mason Miller. If Mason Miller sticks around with the Padres, who knows? But I'd be interested to see if they could move. I would hope they could, but if not, hopefully he figures it out. I'm just not very confident in that right now.
Number 3 for me is going to sound a little glib, a little tongue-in-cheek, but I legitimately mean it. Just do the bare minimum. Do what we expect you to do. Trade the rentals. Trade the relievers. Flip them. Your bullpen is atrocious bad. Horrible. Just one of the worst in team history. I don't want to say baseball history because I don't have context for that, but it's been atrocious.
Yeah.
If teams are still willing to pay you for these guys, maybe they think they have the right role for them. Maybe they think they can unlock another pitch here at the end of the season or can tick up around, higher leverage games and innings. Do it, right? Lane Thomas is a rental. He's got to go. Starling Marte is the, token clubhouse veteran leader that they signed in the offseason. Got to go. Teams have at least asked about him. And then it's a bunch of relievers. John Schreiber as a righty, right? A little bit different angle, not quite fully sidearm, but just a little bit different of a look. I think his numbers look bad because the rest of the bullpen has been bad. He's been thrust into some higher leverage situations than he should be. And so if you can have him in the 6th or the 7th inning, as opposed to the 7th or the 8th innings, I think John Schreiber, fills a really nice niche for a team, at least to survive the rest of the regular season in position, right? I would go to Matt Strahm, another guy maybe like Hoffman, not a bad pitcher having a bad year. There's still some velocity there. There's still some movement there. it's a guy that you signed for a 1-year deal. Well, you traded for him, right? Making $7.5 million. Would you be able to pay it down to go get a prospect? Alex Lang, a guy they signed in the offseason. Maybe not Steven Cruz with the control he has, but Daniel Lynch would be the guy with multiple years of control that is not the obvious move, which I wouldn't expect the Royals to make. But they would get more for a guy like Daniel Lynch this year than they would next year, just because of the team control. But the Royals have seen how some of these deadline deals can work in their favor. I mean, the two that would really pop out to Royals fans would be back in 2022, I believe it would have been, or 23. Whatever year the Rangers won the World Series, they helped. 23, okay, yeah. So 23, the really bad year for the Royals. Well, guess what? They gave up Aroldis Chapman. They traded him to the Rangers as part of their playoff push. What'd they get back? A guy by the name of Cole Reagans, might have heard of, finished fourth in AL Cy Young, was looking the part of an ace for the Royals before injuries set in again. But you got a good year and a half essentially out of Cole Reagans. Cy Young level innings helped you make the playoffs. And then you got a lottery ticket bat and a guy by the name of Derlin Figueroa, who's been hitting pretty well recently, but again, just a lottery ticket kind of flyer. Then I go back to last year. They trade the backup catcher, Freddie Fermin, right? Redundant on a team that had Salvador Perez playing a bunch of innings, where Carter Jensen was coming up toward the end of last year after tearing the cover off the ball in Omaha for the most part. And what'd they get back? Ryan Bergert, who flashed at times before he ended up having a flexor strain and led to Tommy John surgery. He's out for the year this year. And Stephen Kolek, who was pitching pretty well as a 29, 30-year-old non-prospect, but you got the best out of him. He had been the Royals' most consistent guy this side of Michael Wacha until he had a family emergency and then came back and tweaked something. So he's been on the shelf as well now. Those are the obvious trades where you have redundancy, where you're not necessarily able to fleece the market, where there's a premium for you to take advantage of, but you can get someone, anyone, something, anything that can help you for the future. If the Royals don't at least do that and flip the rentals, I'm going to come away from this deadline very disappointed.
Yeah, I think we're in the same position. It's like you want to see them just show me that that what we're having is unacceptable in a sense. Show me that you do care about the future. Show me you like that. You want to build around Bobby Witt. You want to build around Vladimir Guerrero. Show me that the outlook for the season of next year. Obviously, you don't want to ever give up on a year now, but with how things are standing, show me that you at least care that this can't be the standard. And I think it starts with that, making the bare minimum deals, making the deals that guys are going to give you a decent return back for, at least some prospects that you can hopefully bank on, or even some talent that maybe already is MLB ready and you go with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I just want these teams, both of them, to show that they're willing to make at least the bare minimum. Anything more than that's a plus. But yeah, I mean, show me that you are willing to move these guys and not just kind of keep the comfortability of where you're at now and make it stick around. I need you to make some type of change somewhere.
We'll see if it happens. Just about 3 days, not quite 3 days till the trade deadline has come and gone. It's Monday in the early evening. So we'll be monitoring that throughout the course of the weekend and bringing you some thoughts on that on Monday. He's Rudy. I'm Austin. Short one to wrap up Old School right after this.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? By placing your bets at Warhorse Sportsbook. Their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Iconic summer moments deserve an iconic drink. Reach for Mountain Dew, an American original. From its beginnings in the foothills of Tennessee to your biggest summer yet. The refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew is the perfect companion to your American summer adventures. Enjoy the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Tasting great since '48. Look for Mountain Dew in stores near you at mountaindew.com. That's mountaindew.com.
At Anderson Ford, we offer a 5-day return to work exchange policy, so you can make sure the vehicle you choose is the best vehicle for you. No pressure. Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $195 per month for 36 months. Experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1009974. $195 per month lease for 36 months with approved credit. 7,500 miles per year. 10,000 due at signing. No security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 8/31/26.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Hi, it's Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC in Louisville. Koppel is proud to be the highest rated GMC dealer in the Omaha and Lincoln areas based on Google reviews. Right now, get 0% financing for 60 months on new Silverado and Sierra 1500 models. But hurry, this 0% financing offer won't last long. Visit us in Louisville or check us out online at koppelcars.com.
We're not living in some perfect TV land, the kind where the sun's always shining and life's what-ifs just don't exist. Here in Nebraska, we live in reality. We have unpredictable weather and risky moments that mean you need insurance protection you can trust. At Battle Creek Insurance Company, we protect you with flexible policies for home, auto, farm, and multi-peril crop insurance. Hometown service for all of life's what-ifs. Contact your local independent agent and ask about Battle Creek Insurance. Better together.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome back in to Old School one final time for the week. Austin Orman, Rudy Gress with you. And Rudy, as we're talking Major League Baseball trade deadline, saw some interesting commentary on this from a Dodgers fan and a Pirates fan, or a Padres fan, sorry, going back and forth on it. And we'll read the tweet from the Dodgers end of things. This is a Mariners end of things talking about the Dodgers. Had a Dodgers slant to it. My bad on that. But going through the roster, and then essentially 4 months later, the CBA expires. If they add Derek Skubal, this trade might be the last piece of evidence the owners need to shut the sport down. On pure baseball logic, the move is inevitable. Jeff Passan reports the Tigers will trade him, name the Dodgers the favorite. LA has the best record in baseball, arguably the best farm system in baseball, which isn't supposed to be possible. They can absorb the $10 million he's owed without blinking, yada, yada, yada. Then, of course, the CBA expires December 1. Owners are proposing a salary cap, the first one since 1994. Multiple owners have told Jeff Passan the only real path to a salary cap runs through a 2027 season being missed, et cetera, et cetera. And this person says the mechanism connecting the trade to the lockout is simple. the Dodgers are the owner's entire case, spending a lot of money, deferring a lot of money, plus the good farm system, plus all the talent, on and on and on. And so this person argues the Dodgers adding Skubal does not just improve the Dodgers, it hands the owners their closing exhibit timed 4 months before the negotiation. Follow the incentives, the uncomfortable piece. The other 29 owners benefit from the Dodgers getting Skubal not on the field at the table, because a salary cap means cost certainty, which means franchise valuations go up. Tigers get prospects. Dodgers get, certainly a top 3 pitcher in baseball, if not the best pitcher in baseball, et cetera, et cetera. The Dodgers can survive a salary cap, but baseball might not survive is the year without games it takes to get one. Oh, interesting. I think very pointed. I think very fair. The Padres fan says the Dodgers aren't special. They really aren't the best run organization in baseball. They have a special deal for Major League Baseball that enables them to financially cheat and spend nearly twice what any other team could, coming out of the Frank McCourt family and estate bankruptcy that happened before Mark Walters and his organization took over control of the Dodgers. So the Dodgers are the only team in baseball that doesn't need to share their TV revenue in the LA market.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's a lot of money that goes straight back to the Dodgers' pockets. And I can understand that. I mean, you want your big money, your big name, your big city teams to be good. But I can see this Padres fans' argument. I'd definitely quibble with the fact the Dodgers aren't well run. Andrew Friedman's good at what that he does. They have obviously an elite farm system that they can keep drafting and developing players. But I do think this Padres fan makes a fair point that just revoke that. Make the Dodgers pay into the revenue sharing and spread some of that money around baseball, because that's the Dodgers' biggest advantage, right? The argument says any team can be great when you have enough to spend that you can burn $110 million a year in salary and luxury tax on Kyle Tucker while he has the worst season of his career and not feel it. Kyle Tucker might get 10 home runs and 10 stolen bases by the end of the year. He's at 9-7 right now. Think about it. Kyle Tucker, even off the year he had last year with the Cubs, to not feel really any repercussions from that. Number one, sure, you can point to the money. They've been able to absorb it because they can slot other guys in their space. But how are they able to absorb it? Because they've developed. It's not like they went out and swung another big trade for another Kyle Tucker. They've slotted in their own guys or under the radar free agent signings into that slot. And so I think it's completely fair that handing Skubal to the Tigers would be a big push toward a salary cap. The donors could make that argument. I agree with this Padres account too, though, that says, well, the biggest advantage is one that could be revoked, essentially in the blink of an eye, right? Treat the Dodgers like they're any other franchise in baseball.
Yeah, I think that's actually interesting, because me and my buddies were actually talking about this today too, like in a group chat, and that was the same point that kept coming up, was the Kyle Tucker point that you mentioned. Like, you see it in every other sport for the most part. Like, I mean, we see it in the NFL. You think about just Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Like, there's a dialogue around who that quarterback is going to be because the money tied into how much they're paying Watson. You think about the Spurs and De'Aaron Fox, you got to play him because you're paying him all this money. And sure, like, it's not a playing time thing is the issue for the Dodgers, because Kyle Tucker will be out there. If not, like you're saying, they have the talent to just plug and play with a lot of those guys they have, but they don't feel any of this. And then I still don't, like, when it comes to the deferred payments too, that's another thing that I'm not too hard on the Dodgers for that, because my thing is any other team could try to do deferred payments. But at the end of the day, like, because earlier today I was texting my friends and they made it sound like I was defending the Dodgers, and I'm trying not to, but like, when it comes to all these talks and everything, I do think that we need a salary cap, and even a salary floor is what I've been pushing for too. I want to see teams spend money and teams maybe not go over that limit. But I think a lot of what the Dodgers are doing outside of maybe that the extra money like that needs to be accounted for and stuff, but I think that they're doing stuff that a lot of other teams in the league are able to do too. Do I think that it helps that you have the best player in the world on your team, and that's why I would sign with the Dodgers if they gave me a blank check too? Yeah, but I don't know. I do think the lockout's going to happen regardless. I'm sure that's maybe where it's going to be headed, especially if this deal does get made, because then it is just the baseball world is running through LA and not in a favorable way, not in a respectful way, kind of like how we saw the Red Sox have their prime and the Astros, even though they were cheating, like they weren't doing anything when it came to the finances like this. And it's interesting to put it like that, but I don't know. I think with how things are going, the Dodgers are kind of just exploiting the ways, because it's not like they're doing anything necessarily illegal. They're playing things in the rules. They're just finding loopholes, and I think that's where the MLB like that. I have more of a gripe when it comes to how the MLB is handling it, because at any point in this, they could have jumped in and said, okay, some of this is a little exploitation. Let's stop it here. Let's have ways around it. But yeah, I mean, they're going about it in some sort of rules here. It's just I wish that Manfred and the MLB had a better grip on it. And it just seems like the longer it goes without the lockout that I do think is going to happen, the more that they're just going to keep getting away with it. It's going to be becoming just, again, more Dodgers. All these guys, there's a reason anytime there's a big free agent, it's linked to going to LA, and it's the money. Yeah. It's the, you rather live in Los Angeles than you rather live in Canada. I'm not crazy. Like, I understand that. And then that you're playing the future Hall of Famers on that team. Like, it is, if they don't stop it now, if they don't interject in some way to make it a little more of an even playing field, then yeah, I mean, it's just going to keep going in this spiral of Dodger baseball winning. And it's not good for the fans. I'm sure the players love it. I would love to be a Los Angeles Dodger too, but there's got to be some level of fairness in here to where every team has the chance outside of just, go offer them money, because teams are offering them money. But like, I think Kyle Tucker's next closest offer was $10 million less than what the Dodgers offered, somewhere around there. And it's like, you can't compete with the Dodgers money. And it's just, they have an infinite money for it. But if you had a salary cap, maybe you introduce that, and it's like, okay, they have all the money in the world, they just can't spend all of it. And that would be the way better option. But I think there's a lot of spending problems in baseball too that got to get addressed overall.
I am not anti-salary cap. I'm not firmly pro-salary cap. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to listen and hear it out, because I see the arguments for it. Baseball's also had 16 different champions since the year 2000. Again, the game's changing. Not saying baseball in 2005 is the same as it is in baseball in 2026. But really appreciate you sitting in, man. Thanks.
Of course. Thank you.
We'll be back at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock Monday morning. That's right. Old school, 9 o'clock Monday morning. Not the normal afternoon slot. Old school's moving up in the world, right? We got the 9 to noon slot, so we will piggyback early break on Monday. Jay Foreman, I'll be back in town for that. Looking forward to it, and we'll get check-ins from DP and Harrison at Big Ten Volleyball Media Days. Stick with us here at 93.7 The Ticket. No Royals radio carry you through some of the evening. We'll be back with some real talk and more. 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, take the worm, put it on the hook. Now bring your pole back and throw it forward. And just let the fish come to you.
I got a bite! It's a big one, Dad!
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
Iconic summer moments deserve an iconic drink. Reach for Mountain Dew, an American original. From its beginnings in the foothills of Tennessee to your biggest summer yet. The refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew is the perfect companion to your American summer adventures. Enjoy the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Tasting great since '48. Look for Mountain Dew in stores near you at mountaindew.com. That's mountaindew.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency.